Hey, everybody, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I believe is the 8th episode of the 3rd season of Second Sons. Much less alliterative than we were in the 2nd season. As always, I'm Roy Rogers, formerly of the New York City Meta, currently of the Philadelphia Meta. I'm just going to start saying that now that I'm staying here another year. And joining me today is the full Second Sons crew. So, as always, Aaron Glazer is here, and he does not get to speak during this segment. We are joined by the champion of my heart, former North American champion Chris Schoenthal. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great. Happy 1st of May to all the Jonathan Colton fans in the house tonight. Hope you're all enjoying your springtime.
Raising the level of handsomeness, returning to the show, besides as our tech king, is Buzz Aldrin. How you doing today, Buzz?
Great. It's the 1st of May. It's the socialist movement.
Give me one of the big blocks, just one.
Yeah, it's a big holiday in Sweden with Walpurgis, I think you call it.
Walpurgis nacht.
Yes, right. We burn stuff. We drink alcohol, and we celebrate.
Day off.
Great.
Yeah. 2 days actually, Monday and Tuesday.
2 days. Oh my God, you really do live in a socialist paradise.
Because we need the 1st of May off because we're drunk.
All right, I'm cutting Buzz. Cut the mic. Yeah. This is just making me too jealous. All right. And then over there, Buzz was conversing with our international man of mystery, Sandy Barnabas, who is, I believe, being served by former. Are you a former world champion or a former North American champion, Simone?
I don't think he can speak because.
Is this Andres?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, he's currently being served by some former champion named Steve Simone. And then, last but certainly not least, the Khan of Kubla Khan, the Jank Master himself. How you doing, Sid?
I'm doing good. And Sandy, while you've got Simone right there, is he already flown from San Francisco, or is he coming to Kubla this year?
He's not coming to Kubla. He's moving that weekend to New York.
So years in San Francisco, he never comes to Kubla, and now he's moving the weekend.
Yeah, that dude's getting a divorce like immediately.
He says he's going to start Thrones again. Hey Roy, we might come to Thronstoberfest. So Glazer, if you want to draft him, put your headphones on. Glazer, if you want to draft him and me on the same team for Thronstoberfest, that would be great.
I mean, together you might be worth about $20.
That's the breaking news to start off our news segment. Simone joining Team NYC in May is very exciting news. But we have actually got a lot of news in the last couple of weeks since we last had an episode, because it is 2 weeks because we are a bi-weekly podcast. So I think we'll just kind of start by congratulating the people who won big tournaments. First would be Jerry Crane out at Disaster at Crasters 2, which was the first major rookery event.
Electric Google is the subtitle there.
Yep. So you should listen to Wars to Come from yesterday, I believe. They talked about the rookery format. None of us were there, right? Because Sandy, you were at the other tournament. So was Sid. Who won Battle of Bravos?
It was Graham Moyer won it with Martel Wars to Come, right?
So what did you say? Fred Bird picking up his
Sandy, after telling me he's going to play combo, doesn't play combo, so I don't show up.
There was no combo there. No combo.
No, first of all, I would have played combo if I thought I could beat Targ with it. I can't beat Targ with combo because either I'm garbage or Targ is good.
Both.
Yeah, so what happened there, and I don't know, Sid, if you want to say or if I should say what happened, but Fred was going to fly out the same night. And so his flight, the last flight from SF to Vegas was at 10:30. And he made it to the final. And he's like, well, I got to leave for the airport. So he ended up dropping from second place. And Fred Bird, who was third, I think, ended up playing. Or sorry, not Fred. Alejandro took Fred's place, who was third, and Alejandro played against Graham for the second time and lost against him the second time. It's okay, though. I got him drunk and we sang Bohemian Rhapsody, so it's fine.
Yeah, that video is on.
The
video was great.
And then, sort of the other big news is, I think the largest tournament.
Can we slow down for 1 sec? I hate the rookery format now. I'm over it.
Oh, just like that?
Yeah.
Wait,
what's
that
I'm
got to do with
100%
news?
over it. Because it was like Roy ran past Jesse's tournament. I wanted to say it then, but I was like, then Sandy went on a rant. Sorry, yeah. Everything is Jesse's tournament. Craster. So since he ran
That was CT's tournament, yeah.
It's Jesse's tournament. CT doesn't get to have things.
CT's tournament.
Well,
Chris,
okay, it sucked. So I guess it was CT's tournament
Was it-
because rookery kind of sucks and it pushes really boring decks. I was wrong.
Like
I was
Stark
100% wrong. Yeah.
Are you saying you were wrong only because Stark won?
No, like because that deck is actually really fun. I don't think it's quite as good without rookery, but like a lot of the stuff that was pushed was just really boring decks, and it's not where I would like to see the meta go.
I'm actually shocked that this was a rant against the rookery and not a rant against the Midwest, because that's what I would have expected from Aaron.
No.
Is it the
Yeah,
Midwest?
no. Focus. Actual on topic. How do we feel? How do we feel about the way rookery affected the meta? Like, this is actually something we're talking about.
Can we clarify how it affected the meta?
test.
Because I don't know.
I didn't
how
dive
We don't
into
know.
everyone's deck, so I don't know. Like, what's your evidence here? Give me the evidence.
I mean, I looked at a lot of the decks. I looked at what did well. I've got like 3 or 4 different lists from people who did well. I've spoken to Jess. I've spoken to Jesse, and everything I hear is it was a lot of like the meta sort of went back to like
decks?
boring mid-range decks. It sort of went back to Lanny Dragon.
All right, let's do this.
So Aaron, just hold on one second before you continue. Who said this exact things that you're saying now on an episode of Second Sons?
The vegan was right. He's not only ethically correct in not eating meat, he is correct about the rookery format as well.
So Matt
Roy,
Gelman, who I know is in
Roy
chat
was
right now,
orgasmic.
please video cast that. And I would like that to just be playing.
That's a GIF.
It's a GIF.
I listen. I did read Jerry Crane's report, and like I don't think his performance quite backs up Aaron. Maybe the bulk of everyone kind of played it safe for the first rookery, but he felt like he had a distinct advantage. He wrote it in his report. He had a distinct advantage because people did not know how to rookery for his deck. They didn't pack cards for his deck, so he got rewarded in that tournament because he made a deck that people did not have a plan in order to like adjust for. So I mean, my argument, just to like take some of Roy's thunder for being right, I'm gonna claim a little bit of rightness right now in my right seat, and I'm gonna say it's gonna push some more innovative decks that are trying to avoid like the standard rookery packages, right? And I think that's exactly what his deck did. And I mean, that's what he feels.
I really like Jerry's deck. Like I think it's a really cool
deck.
deck, and I'm really glad to see Big Cat in a successful tournament-winning deck. But it's like looking at the rookery and the way the rookery interacts with the rest of the deck. It's just literally Stark No Fun that can run extra No Fun cards based on like all the No Fun cards that Stark wants to just run, but
No
can't
fun
because
cards for the right matchup.
Right,
Like,
the right
there's
matchup.
no fun cards that are useless in certain matchups.
So
And it
what you're
basically
saying,
says,
what I'm hearing is that decks that were unviable before rookery are now viable, and somehow this is a bad thing. A faction that was totally not playable before rookery is now playable.
I think that deck is completely playable. Have you played that deck as is? Because I haven't.
Without
played
it's still good.
Yeah, without the
I've actually said Stark 7 is the best deck.
Yeah,
gonna
I
win
mean,
Gen Con.
and we don't know if that's like
Gen Con? Can we get that clipped? I want that clipped right there.
Yeah, the agenda came out like a couple weeks ago.
I think
Time out. Are we getting an audio loop? Can we double check that?
That's a Buzz question.
Buzz?
It might be Sandy's fault.
Not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
I haven't heard
we
of
should
loop. That's
probably
possible.
not just go on for audio
My
looping.
Twitch is muted. It wasn't me.
All right. So
You're all saying encourages boring mid-range decks. That sounds like good honest thrones to me.
It's like, of course.
SoCal.
Fucking challenge match.
Were you not a mid-range player last week? You were all like butthurt because we were like, mid-range exists. You're a mid-range player. I'm not. Duh.
I don't think
it
you
wants to be
what mid-range
classified as such.
was.
I didn't say it
yesterday,
wasn't.
or last week.
Yeah. You
Clearly,
can't label it.
since I can't figure the combo deck out. Like
The combo deck isn't good. It's not that you can't figure it out. It's that it's bad.
Okay, so I think I think Stark the 7 is a really good deck. B, I think that it's going to be a meta call, right? Like I don't think most decks are just good in isolation, as Sandy found out. Well, they're good in isolation, but like things can stop them if the meta adjusts. I think it makes it too easy for the meta to easily adjust and stop things, which forces you to play boring mid-range stuff. Like, I don't think that's necessarily healthy. I don't think like a meta where like everyone's just like 3 milks, man, that's awesome. Because 3 milks would have wrecked that cat deck.
That might be it's
no, they wouldn't because he teched for it. Like no, he was playing the robes. Fuck your milks. Playing robes, bro.
Sure. Yeah.
Like he really built a good deck. He built a deck that would adjust to like those rookery cards that you're exactly describing, right? Where he's like, fuck your rookery, mine's better, and I'm gonna win now. Like he played the game. He played the system. Jerry, you're my hero. My hero.
Yeah, Brothers Robes, that was a super fun call. I like it a lot.
I mean, it also
almost lost to that.
Right.
I think what Jerry did here, excluding the rookery format, for a second, I think he did launch Stark Faith as an actual archetype that we're going to be seeing a lot of going forward. Not necessarily Sandy's prediction that it's going to win Gen Con, but I think it does. I agree. It's a good deck, Sandy. I'm just saying, like, one tournament with a specific, not just the rookery format, but a specific weird pod structure that's sort of like you can't necessarily draw a lot of information from how the deck would perform in a traditional Swiss. That's all.
Right. That would be my argument for combo too. But whatever.
But combo, well, can we get to my thing I was trying to transition? Because combo did win let me just double check how many players were in
88.
the Italian tournament. 88 player. So Federico La Rosa, which I believe I pronounced properly, won out in Italy. He won, I think, currently the largest tournament of the year. He right? Or were there more people at Thrones War? This might have been the largest.
Thrones War bigger. Yeah.
Okay. So this is at least the largest traditional joust, right? Event of the year. And yeah, he smashed through the field with a slower version of the combo that's making its way around thanks to Dark Naj. I think it's probably the slowest, but based on the tournament report and just listening to Italians talk about it, it feels like it's a slower version of, if one end we have the like Platt Chinese combo deck that won Canadian Nationals that could win turn one. And then you have, I don't know, Dark Naj's deck. It's a little bit slower even than the Dark Naj deck. But yeah, combo's still very much alive. And this is the first time combo has taken a deck. What is it? Hyper Viper came in 4th last year in the same event or a similar Italian event. So this is the best that combo has ever done. Yeah. Except I guess Booker in 2000 at Worlds. He was top 4, right?
Yes,
yeah. It also made top 8 in Zaragoza this weekend.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but that was like what, 30 people?
Yeah, it's smaller, but it's a good. It was a good.
Still a good field, yeah.
Yeah, you know what's notable? There's no chance in hell that combo wins Kubla.
Well, we'll get to that.
Not according to Dark Naj.
Yeah, I still think I can build a Viper deck.
Why your mistake there was why is Dark Naj spoiling my Kubla deck? Like
you didn't. All right, you didn't include
Sandy.
Someone always tells.
I don't think you need to. I'll explain why when we get to that.
So that's a whole transitional topic, the end of the news. But I really do want to congratulate. I think we haven't been talking enough about the European scene on Second Sons recently, and I just wanted to make sure that we give that shout out to the Italians, and who had a giant event. And I know they're all a little sad the combo won, but I still think it's a really impressive feat, and it's a huge accomplishment for both Federico and just that the Italians got that many players in one place.
Sure.
Yeah.
For a tournament without a card design, right, or without a really strong like gimmick and community organization.
It was a road, right?
Was it not a road? I don't think so. No. I think it's just
Tigella is just a tournament they arranged.
Yeah, just Italia Pride, man. It's just
yeah. So congratulations to the Italians. It's a huge accomplishment. Did I miss any of the other major stuff? So we got California, we got Indy, and we got Italy, right? Oh, and Zaragoza, right?
Are we counting Johnny Wright's 15-player combo win?
Oh, yeah. Johnny's sort of like his congratulations to Johnny. He's been a little thirsty for a win, and he got it in the most melancholy Johnny Wright way. Which is to pick a deck he hates. to win a tournament and try and make himself feel better. So he ended up not feeling better. So
and then he tried to back out of it 10 times.
He tried to back out of it, and then his friends and his testing group talked him into keep playing. So, but anyway, Johnny won. Congratulations, Johnny. Happy to do that. That's Naj. That's Najbo wins again. So that's 2 decks for Dark Naj's combo. Combo
2 wins
nonsense.
for Dark Naj's combo.
What?
2 wins. You said 2 decks.
Oh, 2 decks. I'm sorry, 2 wins. That Dark Naj combo scored, because I don't believe the Italian deck was from Dark Naj. So
no. It might as well have been.
Right, but it sounds like, again, how they were.
Let's not have that argument.
Is that an argument? Like,
yes, that happened a lot.
Right. That brings us to sort of after recapping that. I want to make a big announcement here. Today, as y'all probably heard if you're in the Facebook group, Thronetoberfest 2018, we finally got the actual date. The actual date is going to be October 20th and 21st. Yeah, it's a little bit closer to Worlds than I originally wanted to, but some stuff with both the store and my personal life sort of blocked October up a little bit more than I wanted it to. So we're in the middle-ish end of October at the 20th and the 21st. The big announcement today was that we will also be having a Melee tournament as the side event on the Sunday. So if you come to the event, play in the team event on Saturday, and you don't make the cut, you should still stick around and get an awesome set of Mike Lamzik designed pedal cards to take home with you. It's only, and I will not be trading these away. You actually have to come and play in the Melee tournament if you want these.
Oh man, I can't get my hands on those. Whatever.
Great show. Oh, I know how much that breaks your heart as a degenerate Melee player. The only person who I'd give them to is Ryan Jones. Ryan is the progenitor of the format. I'll just give those to Ryan. But here, and you know. Buzz, if you come to Red Saturday, I'll give you anything. All the promos that I have.
You see, now we're just making exceptions for everybody. Where's my exception?
I'm a soft-hearted man. All I ever do. I am bad at so many things. But I'm soft-hearted. But anyway, playing the Melee. But also, I get to announce on Second Sons the 2 of the regents that I picked, which will bring our total announced up to 4, which I'm pretty excited about. To join former flag bearer of Team America and Stolic, Jess Thompson, who was the first person that we announced. And then the second person is this guy over here, who was like the last person who is involved in the event to RSVP on the Facebook group. Aaron Glazer is also also a regent / king / queen.
Not drafting Sid.
Not drafting Sid, indeed.
I'm only going if Roy sets up some kind of contest where I can go for free. If that's the case,
unlike, I don't have Jesse and Sandy money. Okay, so there's no contest. I say
Sandy's a host. He can sponsor the contest.
No, it's not in New York. I can't sponsor it.
Yeah, Red Saturday maybe. Saturday. And so to join Aaron and Jess, we have first. I'll announce the less controversial pick, which would be local magnate Chris. Chris is a great player and a great organizer out here in New Jersey. He's a good friend of mine. He made a big national splash at Red Saturday this year, which I believe he was not Red Saturday, excuse me. Thrones War. He's done well at Red Saturday as well, but at Thrones War he was top 8, I believe. Right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, top 8 on Team Lannister. And Chris is just a really nice guy. He's very kind. He works great with new players, and he's funny as well. I know in other accomplishments, he won the DC Regional last year. He's consistently in the top 8 over here in the Northeast. He hasn't traveled so much.
So wait. While he is phenomenal, winning the DC Regional last year is like a very hobbled prize compared to what it used to mean, right? Like, it's like, I won the DC Regional 5 years ago. Holy shit.
Blood field, right?
Sure it was.
You
Give him
did
props
actually win
for
the
traveling to
DC
Thrones War,
stuff.
though.
And that's Star Championship, but it was back when DC mattered. But like, yeah, no.
Okay. So anyway, besides Aaron now slandering the Maryland / DC community, anyway, dude, Chris is great.
Last year, they're good now. Last year, they were like new. All right, whatever.
So besides Glazer slandering their community, we are happy to have Vac. He's one of my favorite Thrones people. But now I also get to announce my more controversial pick, which is friend of the show, my friend, but also the devil himself. Jake Platt will be serving as regent. I offered it to any Wausau player, and they couldn't agree exactly. So Platt kind of volunteered in a classic Platt way, kind of volunteered himself.
Scoop King
Big
rules.
Combo King. His specific goal is to go for a three-peat, which is that he will, of course, have been on the winning team at Thrones War, the winning team at, and winning the individual tournament at Jesse's event, and then be on the winning team and or win himself at Throwstoberfest. So those are the 4 regents. We have Jess, Aaron Glazer, Chris Vack, and Jake, the devil himself, Platt.
So I would like to make a proposal to both Chris Vack and Jess Thompson right now. Guys, since he believes in scooping and collusion, let's do some scooping and collusion. Jake Platt is not winning this tournament.
All right.
So there you go.
I actually can get behind that.
The fix is in. The fix is in.
Sandy, you know you're ending up on my team, right? Like,
I know. I'm trying to get you to get Simone too.
Obviously, I'll draft Simone.
Then Aaron will spend $50 on Dark Naj, and
yeah, it'll be Dark Naj, Simone, and Sandy like our old Gen Con crew, and then Simone will betray us last minute again.
Anyway, I have
he
more
scoops the Plaid, and
I'll probably announce the next 2 regents that I have settled at the next Second Sons episode. So tune in then. I think you'll all be excited for those people. I will say that they both have awesome beards. To sort of give you a hint of who these people could be. So, so come to Thronstoberfest October 20th and 21st here in Philadelphia. I'm incredibly
Vac
excited.
is in the chat.
Hey, Vac. But,
He heard you being slandered.
Yeah, that's the only time he's ever talked. So he was like, "Oh, I clearly must defend myself. I have honor, except that I was
he's from Jersey. He knows he doesn't have honor.
All right. So also, what was also announced, I just announced my tournaments, but regionals was also announced. What's the big thing?
But was it?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Sid and I were going to do an emergency Second Sons episode about this, but Sid, why did we not do an emergency Second Sons to talk about the regional schedule?
Because there isn't one yet. And since there isn't one for what do we have now? All of last week and then 2 days this week. It's starting to feel like there isn't going to be one. There's going to be one eventually, but I swear to God, some kind-hearted community member is going to compile a complete list of all the regionals, and then the next day, FFG will be like, "Oh, here it is. Here we have
Will's
it."
already doing that.
So Will's done that.
Has he? Well, there you go. That's what'll happen. They'll wait till he does the work. There'll be some backroom copy paste job, and FFG will publish theirs. I have no idea why it's not out. Like it's just stupid. It's not even something to complain like, "Oh, why haven't we got this?" It's just like some fool in OP is just hasn't done it or hasn't been told to do it, and it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't have words.
I will not have you slandering OP in this matter.
Oh, you will have me. You will have me slander.
Hard-working,
you will have it.
An understaffed group, and how could we ever expect them to have the time to email us?
Poor FFG and their middling profit margins on their tiny in-house independent operation, right? Oh, please.
So, Buzz, how has the regional announcements been in Europe? What, you guys don't even know in Europe either?
No, we have no clue.
No, they don't.
No clue either. Wow. So it's not just an FFG problem, right? Because your regionals are organized by your distributor, right?
Well, yeah. So we don't ever hear from FFG, but we have not heard from our distributor either. So
but regionals in Europe are less important because of the large number of community events.
Wow. That's just like they shouldn't care. Wow, Sandy, strange argument.
I'm serious.
The road to Starlight events are better regionals. So
to be fair though, I think one of the reasons why this weird regional schedule hasn't caused as much controversy as regional schedules in the past have is because North America has more fan events. So that's definitely a good argument. Any other thoughts?
I don't think they're as far behind as they have been in the past. So, I guess maybe they've conditioned me to expect lowered expectations. But if it's not out by the end of this week, I'll be where Sid is now. I think. But I think I think so far, I think they're still talking to stores. To be honest with you, like
Really?
I mean, I just found out at
we
the end of
haven't heard
last
about
week
our
that
third
Philly
channel
had
yet,
one.
so
So
we still don't know.
True. Our region doesn't know about it, but things are so wishy-washy over the last couple of years. What is our region? Where does our region begin and end? Are we only going to get 2? Some prior regions have like 4 or 5 tournaments, so it's like we don't even really know what the process is anymore for awarding regionals. It's all just whenever they tell us, we'll know, right?
yeah, I mean, again, we had been settled. I knew that New York City was going to be having one for a while, but I just found out that Philly was getting one last week and was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm organizing 2 this year. So
I will note that the Vegas regional scheduled across from Comic-Con is pretty frustrating. Like you'd think they'd schedule around things like that, but
like putting nationals on KublaCon weekend or
well,
wait,
that's the news that we didn't even talk about. Will Lentz,
they don't look at calendars.
Will Lentz related news, excuse me, is First Player Championship is not with the news that we broke on our last episode. Not the U.S. Nationals. I think
that is old news,
partially to the shit that we stirred in that episode. Just partially. We did you a favor, Will.
Whining, complaining, it gets stuff done, kids. If you parents told you different, they're liars.
Will Lentz, because he's an awesome person, gets to have his cake and eat it too, which is that he gets to run an awesome First Player Championship event that also gets its winner a reserved place at Worlds, which Will sort of explicitly announced today, which is pretty cool.
2 reserved places.
2 reserved places. Right, the Melee champion gets one as well. And he also gets to run U.S. Nationals over Labor Day weekend, which I will be attending. Really exciting for Will. I'm really happy for the Missouri people and the sort of western end of the Midwest, if you look at Lance's map. And Will really deserves it. So congratulations, Will. There's nothing to complain about now about that decision. Because putting on Labor Day is very reasonable and doesn't conflict with Kubla, doesn't conflict with any of the other major fan run events. I'm very excited to
Sandy,
what is that?
Sandy.
Sandy.
Quietly.
Sandy. Can you not do that, dude?
And another thing, who the fuck is refurbishing?
Refurbishing?
Chris?
What? I don't
Someone
know what
is
refurbishing means.
Oh, we're having sound.
moving
my
things.
keyboard is too loud.
Yeah,
Yes.
Is that the problem?
but
Okay.
we've also had someone
Hammering in the back.
hammering. Yeah.
I'm not hammering anything.
Nobody's refurbishing now.
It's got to be Simone. He's constructing
Oh
something.
yeah, it's maybe Simone.
Is he making a robot in the background?
Is Bebot? Is he working on Bebot right now?
What
Is Bebot
service
there?
workers
Put Bebot on
will
camera.
Simone steal jobs from now with his robot? Who knows? Find out live on Second Sons. All right, so so we did regionals, we did announcements. Left. Oh, FFG spoil article came out yesterday. March on Winterfell, the second pack of the 5th cycle, I believe. Right? I originally had in the video for announcing this saying that wrapping up the 3rd cycle, and then realized, no, wait, we're on the 4th. So it's the 5th cycle, right? So this is the second pack. There's some pretty interesting cards here. Chris, do any of the cards jump out at you immediately as things you're excited to play?
It may sound weird, but of the cards that got spoiled, I mostly enjoy the titular event. March to Winterfell looks like a sweet trick for Bera that hasn't had a lot of sweet tricks. And the word dominance doesn't appear in the text anywhere, so I'm pretty happy with it.
But honestly, Buzz is smiling right there.
Like you can do all sorts of just weird stuff with it. It's great in crossing. Like it's got a lot of utility, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is the boost that Barra needed in Melee. Fuck yeah.
Well, Bera already had this little like mini theme of challenge phase stuff with like in the name of your king and
Sure.
maybe one other thing. So it's nice to see them do this kind of stuff.
Forces your opponent to give you something to initiate challenges. So.
Oh yeah, but that's shit. I mean like challenge phase. Challenge phase disruptors. Yeah. Okay.
CD cards are still part of themes.
Challenges. It makes you want to do challenges or do something when your opponent does challenges, and that's exciting for Barrett.
Yeah.
I mean, but Wyman?
Wyman is bonkers.
Wow.
So good.
My answer is gonna be Queen of Thorns, though. Like, We have yet to see, of course, the full gamut of Shadows cards, but anything that lets you put a card from Shadows into play for free, like it's gonna be good. It's gonna have good uses. That's what she does, right? I read that card correctly. Yeah. All right, good.
I don't know.
She's awesome.
I think Wyman Manderley is stupid. Like stupid. Stark does not need.
I don't think anybody disagrees.
Stark.
I don't think he's
Stark.
They
needs
need
draw. It needs draw. Like
it needs draw, and it needs a way to make sack decks. I mean, it's not like a sack deck. I'm terrified. Come on, like.
I think
do not see the deck this weekend.
Yeah, Buzz, did you just record? Can you record that? Like that's a sack decks.
I mean, he has the potential to be a high tower mace combo with Big Cat. Like it's very strong. Big Cat,
but at least the power in that case. Yeah,
it's limited two per round.
Right,
but you get a card and
maybe Cat's easier
and
to
action
protect
economy.
Brothers Road. So
yeah,
I mean, it stands the whole board with Rob. It's another way to do that.
Yeah, there's already lots of ways to do that, though.
Are there lots? Because there's like 2.
John.
There's John.
The North remembers.
And there's the event, and there's Grey Wind. You can use it on yourself, guys. Nothing stops you.
Yeah, Sack's different than Kill, though. Sack seeds that thing with the discard pile for that card. What's that card? That one.
That comes to mind when you mentioned the discard pile. I don't think there's anything that really interacts with that.
That'll be restricted by then.
Right. No one cares about the discard pile.
The Mace Hightower combo.
Discard pile is like a play area that just there's no interaction there, right? Right now? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's see. What's the other card? Oh, I also actually think that Justin Massey is real strong.
What does he do? Where is he?
After a Barra character, he gets renowned if you control a king. After a Barra character gains a power, or gains or moves a power, I believe, you stand them.
That is in fact real strong.
And he's a good efficient body too, 5 for 4. So, and it's not hard for Barra to have a king. So
is it not?
I mean,
they have
extra
2 good
stand for Big Bobby. That's nice.
Big Bobby, even Stannis.
Yeah.
Stannis the Menace.
Stannis the Menace.
That Stannis is actually pretty good.
King?
He affects how you have to play the game. I think he's good. He really shouldn't affect yourself on power challenges, but Baron
does suck.
He's also not loyal, so you can run him in like.
He's not loyal.
He's talking about Massey.
Oh yeah, the king is
Stannis
loyal.
is absolutely loyal.
Yeah, I was like,
all versions of Stannis are currently loyal, but I'm more saying Massey, so he can stand himself in like a Tyrell deck, or so. And Tyrell Stag is good and does kind of would not mind the additional action economy of standing a dude and the additional renown for more sources of renown. So, because Tyrell Stag is really good at stalling the game, but sometimes it's probably the slowest of the degenerate Tyrell decks. So that's what we found, right, Sandy?
Newly minted king Chris Vack would like to point out in chat that Wyman also works on non-Stark characters. He just sacks literally anybody. So you could false banner like a Stark false banner dragon and get your guys all messed up and then we bottom them back. It's pretty good.
Or, I mean, if only there was a faction that had a lot of good interplay effects, and then you could just sacrifice them and then bring them into play multiple times. I don't know.
Wait, you're talking about like a Stark Rose deck that like wants
Stark
to sack
Sun deck?
Stark Rose or Sun.
Yeah,
like, I can do 4 military challenges because I bring random bullshit characters back into play from the discard pile.
Random bullshit.
Oh, hey, so how's your Iron Throwing game going, Sandy?
It's fine.
All right. So if
He's got Jogo right now. That's pretty good.
We chatted this out. Cool. Chris, I know you had some sort of general FFG news you wanted to talk about since we're talking about FFG spoilers. So throw it at us, my friend.
Sure, yeah. Unrelated to Thrones directly, but a couple pretty big announcements, to be honest, came out of Fantasy Flight this week about a couple of their Star Wars games. I don't think there's going to be a ton of discussion on this, but I think they're worth pointing out as potential signposts, or at least signs that FFG is thinking outside the box in various cases. The first is there was an article posted about the World Championship for their newest game, Star Wars Legion, that is intended to be a large-scale skirmish game like Warhammer 40K or War Machine. And the world structure for that is going to be that store and convention championships the same level, and they will grant a number of buys to a single event at Adepticon, which is a big miniatures convention on the East Coast, I believe. And at that tournament at Adepticon, the top 8 of that tournament will be considered the World Championship. So whoever makes top 8 at Adepticon will be flown on FFG's dime to Roseville, get to have a tour of the FFG offices, get to talk with the designers of the game, and then play out the top 8. So it's essentially it's one big extended tournament between the Adepticon tournament and then the cut, quote unquote, is Worlds, which will happen at FFG's event center. But really, my takeaway from this is that they're realizing, at least in general terms, that space is a real issue when they use the event center. And a game like Legion, if they tried to put Swiss rounds in the event center, just simply wouldn't work. There's not enough space for the competitors, even if they gave it 3 or 4 days. And it's presumably going to be an incredibly popular game. And it takes up even more space than X-Wing, I believe. And so the fact that they've limited it to top 8
Legion, and it's Imperial Assault, which also took up a huge amount of space, right?
Assault and X-Wing are pretty similar, I believe, in their footprints. But Legion is bigger than both. Yeah. So that's a small example of them thinking outside the box and realizing, hey, we better figure out something different. So we'll see how that plays out, whether that structure works for them, especially the kind of 2-tiered single event where the Swiss rounds are at Adepticon and then the top 8 is a separate event that's Worlds. But in general, I think it's a step in the right direction for them.
So do you think that this is kind of a little bit of a pilot program to see if an invitational-based Worlds is something that they can do across many games, particularly our game?
I'd like to think so. I'd be interested in that idea, especially because it would remove the kind of lottery option. But honestly, I'm not convinced that it will end up that way. I don't think that they'll see that as a useful model for card games.
Buzz, what do you think? You seem to have thoughts.
Yeah, this is how it's done in most esports, right?
Right.
This is how it should be done. Them trying to catch up. Okay, get on with it. Come on, next thing. But yeah, I've wanted the invitational Worlds for a while. I'd like to see it for rounds. But
in many ways, aren't all the Europeans? Not all the Europeans. That's too much. But many of the Europeans who come, it's kind of by invitation, right? Because it's the winners of nationals get flown out, and yes, they do bring a couple of fanboys along with them. But
fanboys.
yeah.
Buzz was one of those fanboys.
He was one of those fanboys. But like the European crew, you look at them and you're like, these guys are national winners. Like they're tough competitors, whereas us North Americans are more of a hodgepodge. I might say.
Actually,
skill.
There are people that go to Worlds because they happen to live near the game center, and this is like their third tournament ever.
like Sam and Alyssa. Was it Alyssa? Is that how you pronounce Sam's wife's name?
Alyssa.
Right, there was
two E's.
2 E's. That was like literally their third tournament, right? It was like a store championship.
And then IL Worlds was their fourth because we convinced them.
Yeah. So that can happen. I think I agree with Buzz. I'm a huge supporter of an invitational only Worlds if FFG creates a circuit to support it, right? Yes. What makes can't have it both ways. You can't limit the access to highly competitive events if you just tomorrow they announce it's an invitation only, because there's just not enough events right now in the FFG ecosystem to support it.
No doubt.
Like other card games, Magic has a whole intricate system. Hearthstone's been developing one. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all the other competitive card games have these intricate systems, and FFG vaguely has the infrastructure there, but it doesn't. We don't know what the regionals are. Magic announces the Grand Prix 9 months in advance. and Hearthstone does it at the beginning of a calendar year. I don't. Those are the two games I follow besides Thrones. They can't do that with the card games. Like, it would just destroy their ecosystem. The fact that Worlds is this international Grand Prix event is a huge thing for all the community. Like, just talking and looking at the Netrunner people, it's the same. It's the same way. It's not just Thrones. And to just disrupt that ecosystem would be really bad for their card games. But if they decided that they wanted to this more rigorously, which it seems to be, they're kind of experimenting with L5R, because these Grand Kotais seem to be something closer to a Magic Grand Prix that could lead into an invitational only Worlds. They're not doing that this year, but they could theoretically over time. It's going to require a lot of work for FFGOP, and I just don't know if they have it in them.
Yeah,
unless they
could absolutely do it very wrong.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point about L5R, because I had seen the Grand Cote system as more of a backward-looking thing. Like, that's what L5R players expected out of them, and so that's what they were giving them. That I don't know the details of organized play under AEG, but I know that like Grand Cotes were part of it, and so it feels to me more like L5R is kind of trying to continue the player base and keep what they have stable, as opposed to trying something new, especially since they're farming it out to Cascade to run them all. But I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe it's a trial balloon, and we'll all have better events going forward. That'd be great.
My point is less that might have been their intention at the beginning. It's just it could serve as a better infrastructure than what they have for Netrunner and Thrones. And Netrunner and Thrones are the only two non-L5R card games now, right? That could do competitive play, right? It's just us and Netrunner.
Yes.
Besides L5R.
After this weekend, yeah.
That's right. Final LCG World.
Well, Destiny, but Destiny's like, I don't even think about the Star Wars games when it comes to us, right? Because they're gonna they're in May. So yeah. Oh wait, I did hear the echo, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, so the second thing that came out of FFG actually came out today. They are rebooting X-Wing. X-Wing has been around since 2012, which is only a year or maybe 2 years. I don't remember the numbers, but basically a little bit shorter than Thrones 1.0. But in general, it's been around a long time for a game without any sort of rebooting or restarting. So the bare bones of it are all the ship pieces that you get in your boxes will be usable still. They're going to make conversion kits for the new set of rules, and a lot of the big takeaway for me and why it's relevant to us, hopefully and potentially, is that they're doing a lot in the digital space. There's going to be an app that is essentially an X-Wing deck builder, and FFG will have control of the app and be able to make point changes on the fly. So if they see one squad is dominating the metagame, they can adjust ship and pilot prices to match that and to clean out the metagame. And so I think that's a good step, and it shows what that digital team potentially that they created has the capacity to do.
So I find that it'd be difficult to incorporate with us, though, just because we use like the physical cards are different than the ships, right? Because the ships will just not have anything on them, and then you update the cards digitally, and then you have a new ship. But how do you do that with our card game, right? Even if you have a digital deck builder,
it's not. I don't want to overstate the case. I don't think that it's going to be revolutionary in terms of like our card games going digital or anything like that. But I do think it gives an opportunity. Sorry, I'm walking through a darkened hallway. This is very exciting.
Chris has got into an Aaron Sorkin film.
I do think it gives us the opportunity to have more dynamic rules, documents, and deck lists, and prevents people from having to bring pen and paper to a tournament and fill out their deck list on the fly. Like, there's implications to it.
And I also think L5R's rules reference, right, is explicitly a living document, as I understand it. When it comes across my my news feed, the designers are more explicitly talking about making changes to that document in a way that you don't really see Danny or the Netrunner team doing. So it definitely sees that FFG's designers and OP are rethinking things and more active management of their games. I mean, look at that big Netrunner announcement, right? They made was like, we're not changing anything. We think the meta is in a good place.
Yeah.
That's like a level of communication from FFG, that's unheard of, right? They only generally talk when there's a problem. And so maybe things are changing.
Fingers crossed.
So things changing, but of course, my awesome transition up by Sid. So I'm gonna vamp for some time here. So before we transition, do we have anything else we want to talk about here? Because I have a whole thing that I was going to throw to Sid, but Sid decided to leave the chair at this appropriate. Oh, he's back. Okay, cool. All right. So all this talk about FFG learning from its mistakes. Aaron is falling asleep on the cast, so we need to transition to something he cares about. So Sandy's going to keep playing the Iron Throne because we're going to be talking about something he doesn't care about.
I really hate this. Yeah.
So Sid, the last piece of news that'll transition us into the meat of the episode. What did Kubla announce yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah. Yesterday, we instituted the ARL, or Adjusted Restricted List, the ARL for those in the know. And ARL is it's a response to first and foremost, the attendees of KublaCon wanting to see something done about combo. I wasn't originally going to do anything, and I think I stated in a couple of places online that it was going to be just the regular rules. But due to really just like a majority of attendees saying like this is not the experience that they're really looking forward to, I looked at what it would kind of take to do our own restricted list. I sought out some of my new family members in the RTS organizers group and the Stalak organizers group, because Kubla is now part of that little family. I sought out input from Danny himself, and he did email me back. And through all those communications, like I came to the pretty clear determination that we should do something. The arguments against were non-existent to poor, and all the arguments for seemed pretty well intentioned. So I went ahead and talked to members of the community, talked to POs at Stalak, talked to the attendees, and talked to other people who weren't going to be at KublaCon, who I thought could give a pretty unbiased opinion and add a little bit of input to. I mean, it was ultimately my decision, and this list is mine as the TO. So I don't want to. I wouldn't throw anyone under the bus, but there was a lot of input, and so Aaron raised his hand because I did ask for his input.
Can I live under the bus with you? I'm fine being.
You can, man. You're there with me, buddy.
Clarify. You talked to a bunch of people with an unbiased opinion, and also Aaron. Is that what you
Yes, and also Aaron.
But it's unbiased in the sense that Aaron, as we'll get to later, wants a much larger restricted list. So the fact that he recommended this one shows
for
a
those who are wondering.
That's not what unbiased means.
No, I don't mean unbiased in the sense that have no opinion about combo. I mean aren't looking for a certain experience at KublaCon, and therefore will just give kind of their impression of the power of combo without being like, well, I'm going to be there and I don't want to see it, or I'm going to be there and I want to be able to play it. I didn't want those voices there because I thought they would be a little too personally biased, let's say. On the subject of combo. So
objectively biased.
There you go. So yesterday I posted the ARL to pretty much every page, and hopefully people will see it there. It'll also be updated with the like this little addendum that goes in the Kubla schedule. The tournament's on Sunday. So if on Saturday people still don't know, like I'll be blasting it as much as I can to make sure people know that this is the restricted list that they will have to be playing with and be planning for KublaCon.
Yeah. So if you want to hear people with totally unbiased opinions about combo, listen to this Friday's White Book episode. That'll be my last play.
Oh wait, actually, yeah. Seriously, this week's White Book is the strongest episode we've had in at least 50 episodes. So seriously, if you're free this Friday, check it out.
So, Sandy, even though you don't care at all about this subject, I'm going to throw it to you. Do you think that this restricted list is going to do what Sid's goal was, which is not to do the Aaron Glazer style meta shakeup for its own sake, but rather to declare war on combo? Is it going to succeed?
On one type of combo.
On OTK combo.
So, right. So, I guess this is kind of maybe stepping on your white book idea of like having different types of combo or the different whatevers of combo. But in my mind, I actually don't think combo is a problem. And maybe that's because I'm naive and I think that people will adjust and not just play their blindly misguided mid-range decks and complain that they lose on turn 2. But that might be
so playing by the rules and then wanting to not lose on turn 2. I see. Okay.
Well, I mean, you can play by the rules and play an all neutrals deck and still lose on. Like, you know what wins? I don't know. I don't think playing by the rules necessarily game. But I will say that I think that it will stop combo, whether or not that is
necessary.
Necessary thing. Like, fine. I actually think that your list specifically is good in that it does not stop a lot of things that are not combo. Like, I don't think it has like collateral damage.
Not much. My goal was to have as little collateral as possible.
I like how that's what people still focused on when they saw the list, though. Like even though you made expressing intention, like there were a bunch of posts that were talking about how certain cards were like, "Oh, this kills Tyrell," and I'm like,
"Yeah, this does not kill Tyrell." Spoiler alert.
Thank you, Roy, because that I did get put out like
cards on the list that are in the
You can still play. There's still 2 other archetypes.
Play Mace, like it's okay, but last fight decks, those decks don't win in one phase. They don't go 0-15. They don't go 0 characters to all the characters and 15. Like, they don't do that. They need a couple turns to play out their plan, which gives other decks a chance. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to say you can't play Tyrell. That's silly. I didn't want to say you can't play a deck that tries to rush. That's silly. I just didn't want a deck that you could not do anything to, and then they just do it in one phase, right? Like when you're like, oh, I have cards that control characters, and they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm gonna wait to marshal them on the turn I win, and then you can't do anything. It's that kind of level of 0-15, losing to suddenly winning, not by controlling board position, but by just building the correct combo of cards in a single phase. That's what I sought to shut down, and nothing more. So and hopefully that's what happened. Oh.
I mean, and to your point, can we go back to why you Martel combo is not going to be an issue? Because I actually was looking at that list and I was like, I think there's a Martel combo deck that is not stopped by this.
That is a one challenge 0-15 no board position to win deck. I don't think you're right, but hey man, if you can figure it out, Sandy, do it and win, man. Come on.
I think my deck is
I challenge you, sir.
So Buzz, throw it towards Buzz. What is your I'm gonna use the European pronunciation of this. How do combination deck in
it's not pronunciation, dude? You're just saying the full word.
Like, I'm just teasing. Jesus, talking about stepping on my jokes here today, Glazer. All right, Buzz, what are your feelings about this?
About the
Arl. Do you think it's gonna achieve Sid's goals? Or
when is Kubla?
3.5.
If there's
27th of May.
If there is a OTK deck out there, 3 weeks is enough to find it, right?
If it's there, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think it might be. And as Sunny says, it's probably Viper.
And it's probably take Dark Notch's head right now, spitefully finding every combo deck that he possibly as a deck building challenge.
It's just listen. Viper is on this list, so you need to find enough support pieces to go 0-15. I'm not sure that's
a big gripe for me. Why is he on the list?
Why? Because of what you just said.
No,
Buzz.
but you don't have you murder her children, right?
Yeah.
I don't agree that you murdered her children. You murdered her children is not the way to get to 15. It is not the engine, nor is it the win condition. It is nothing but protection. And
Also, Hans' judgment is still on this list, so you still can't protect your murdered children.
Yes, you can. It's called.
Someone always tells.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I would have liked to be more surgical, to as little collateral as possible, right? So keep the non-offenders off the lists as much as you can. Like Taina, she's not an offender normally, but
Taina is absolutely an offender.
No, but I mean, she's played in other decks, and she's good. Played in combo, and she's stupid as fuck, right? So
Is Taina not on the regular restricted list?
I thought she was. Oh, she is. Yes, she is. Yeah, but what I mean, but
she didn't take anything off the regular restricted
list. Oh, yeah,
but
you're not getting what I'm saying.
You know? Like what stops her from being put in a deck in which she would just be good, like in Atlantis?
Now you can't play little handling things with lasers and whatever. No,
Taina. I mean,
they're bad decks, sure, but you have stuff on the list that doesn't necessarily need to be there. I think Viper could just as remove him, add you murder children. Same thing. But Viper can be played in crossing decks, and he's a fun card.
I'd rather play the other Viper in crossing decks.
Oh, I don't.
You agree. Maybe.
I think I agree. Like I every time people keep doing that, but, like that deck that did really well at Rasters was using Big Viper. Like he's just really strong.
Yeah, but that's not the argument anyway.
I know.
People.
You can play an honest Viper deck out of this list.
But then I can't play Hans Judgment, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, make a choice.
So play the good cards and hope your opponent's not
yes,
playing
but
Hand
okay,
Judgment.
sure. But what you what you want to do is fuck OTK, and you want as little collaterals. One turn kill.
There you go. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not a. Is that a magic term?
No.
Hearthstone card game. Yeah.
Got
it. So, but I think your list and the list we're gonna come to contains a lot of collateral damage that can be avoided.
I want collateral damage. I don't want to avoid collateral damage. I like collateral damage. The whole point of my list is
I love restricting things. I love it. To balance things, not not to hit cards unnecessarily.
The obvious thing that collateral that I think this does hit. I mean, it does hit the honest Tyrell Ladies deck, if such a thing does exist. I'm not even sure, but if it does exist, this hits it. But honestly, no one would bring that, I think, to a high stakes tournament like Kubla if combo ladies were available to play anyways. So I saw it as, and I put that in my little description. Like, I understand that this may have some unintended consequences, but I'm willing to accept those if it means OTK. It's not a viable strategy.
So
yeah, hit me.
Oh, go ahead. Go, Sandy. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to bring up anecdotally that I think Simone, for example, was telling me that he would be in favor of a restricted list that rotated every 30 days. He's in the Aaron Glazer.
It's Simone. He's DC. This isn't. This is like. This is
30 days.
It's too short for me. But like, this is how Corey and I bonded. Both like, let's make the game different and build all the decks all the time. Then we email each other decks. It was great. That's like the whole basis of us getting along.
I'd be down for like a quarterly.
Quarterly is my goal. Quarterly is what I'm hoping eventually happens. But whatever.
I do think
quarterly.
I just want to keep deck building, and like I want deck building to be as different as possible, as often as possible, and like so much of the fun of the game is sitting down and not knowing what your opponent has because everything just got shaken up again, and like just sitting there and going, "Yep, look, it's Targ Burn. It's playing these cards. Maybe there's one or two different, but it's playing these cards. Kills me. Like, it's just so boring."
For me, it's the other way around. I love when it's figured out. people think they know where they have me, and I have some stupid shit, and they have no clue what I'm doing. That's I love it.
I'm much closer to Buzz there, even though I'm pro seasonal restricted lists. I like it when a meta is solved and there's clear archetypes and you can see the interplay between. But how they wax and wane based on who's the flavor of the week, or in the case of the Iron Throne, the hour. Feels like sometimes it's bad as like Hearthstone. You queue in, it's like, oh, the Martell players are on at this hour, and then you can like, oh, it's like the Greyjoy. Hey,
I actually, sorry, go ahead. I mean,
no, go ahead.
I think that they're very I think these are patches for a systemic problem with LCG, which is that rotation is not fast enough. If we had a new, if we had 115 new cards every quarter, I don't think this would. We wouldn't.
That's not an argument about rotation. That's an argument about the way in which LCG is a subscription model, right? That you get 30 cards a month.
So if we just chucked out all the boxes, which we'll never do, and then we speed up rotation, and then B, each box is just an influx of cards, and we can do the same release cycle, that would also work totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, FFG will continue to make money.
Yeah,
cards don't leave the card pool fast enough.
I agree with that.
So we're going to transition to the, but I want to ask Sid one quick question. How many people? Well, it's two questions. How many people do you think are going to be at Kubla this year?
I think we'll hit that 72 mark. That's kind of my goal.
Nice. Impressive.
Well,
I like it.
But I like it.
Yeah. Maybe it's a little optimistic, but I think it's pretty likely. After going up to Battle of Bravos this last weekend, there was 28 players there, and just talking to a lot of the little groups, because I was doing my job of going to every little group of players and being like, you going to Kubla, you bring your I'm making sure that people know and they all know, and they all seem to be coming and bringing their little groups and their little metas, and people are excited about it. And I think I convinced a few people who are like, oh, should I? And they're like, okay, I'll be there. I think up there it's going to be the biggest group that's ever been there. It's going to be the biggest group that's ever traveled to Kubla by far. So maybe that's a little optimistic to say 72. Let's say 64 to 72 is my guess. I don't know.
Can I suggest something actually?
Sure.
This came up in a conversation when I was with the Seattle guys. We were playing at something, and we had 3 different people come up and ask us while we were playing about the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
it happens at bread and butter.
It happens every once in a while, bread and butter, but not that much.
Every time I went.
Well, you haven't been very much, but anyway.
No, not lately, but it used to happen all the goddamn time.
The point, Glazer, shut up, Glazer.
No, my point is, there are lots of people who are not unfamiliar with card games. They were asking us how it differed from Magic, and we I told them the LCG model, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I was like, "You can always tell because a board gamer to a board gamer saying $300 for the whole set is oh my god, I just spent $200 on Gloomhaven. I can't afford that." But to a Magic player, it's oh, I have single cards that are worth more than that. This is fine. But what I was getting at is I think that in some of these areas where there's a high density of games, not necessarily Game of Thrones games, Game of Thrones is it's in popular culture. People know it. We are probably not really exploiting the tools at our disposal to get people into the game. I was going to run a Facebook ad. If somebody wants to design a nice, good looking ad, I'll definitely spend $20 or whatever, target people that have Magic and Game of Thrones in their interest list and say come to this weekly meetup, learn how to play the Game of Thrones card game. And if there was somebody at a local meta who was willing to have starter, have X, I think that'd be a great way to grow the community. But I think what relevant to your point of getting new players or getting people that don't normally travel, before Kubla, run a campaign like this on Facebook. You going to KublaCon? Come play Thrones. Come learn the game. Especially since the tournament's on Sunday. Saturday, we can have casual Thrones game.
Definitely. And I mean, to piggyback off of that, I don't think most organizers and most metas are fully taking advantage of technology. Just what you described right there. I'm going to target Magic players and people with Game of Thrones experience. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, to be honest. But it sounds amazing, and I want to do it, and I would spend $20 to do that. So Sandy, teach me, and teach every meta in America to do that, because we need to grow our player base.
I'm gonna bracket this discussion because I actually think a future Suns episode talking about the weaknesses. I mean, it's a very white booky thing to talk about, but the weaknesses of where the community is about new players and how we could appeal to them better. I think Sandy has some really great ideas, but we're specifically going to talk about the restricted list here. And I apologize, Sandy, but we do need to do this.
Stay on target.
Stay on target, because I have a lot of strong opinions about this as well, because having been the person who did this in New York for a while. But anyway, Glazer. Now that we've heard Sid successes, possible failures, who knows what's going to happen? We'll see at Kubla when I'm playing Dark Naj's combo deck. What you came up with your own restricted list to take this one step further, along with me and John. So, what is the list that we came up with, and why do you think it's what Danny moves towards in the?
So I think the meta is largely solved, and while there are occasional buzz-like players, can we stop typing so fucking loudly, Sam? Jesus Christ.
There.
Thanks. All right. So I think while there are occasional buzz-like players that will shake the meta up just on their own, the high majority, and I'm talking like 97 to 99%, almost everyone does not do that. Most of your games, you basically know the decks, and while that's a fun competitive advantage to have, because like, hey, I build decks with Dark Nudge, and all our shit ends up mildly weird or Scotty, most people don't. And like having all these samey decks with a fairly solved meta is a little bit dry. And further, there's stuff that if you just get rid of combo, I think there's a clear and known cream that rises to the top, and I don't think anyone's surprised in it. While you can play counters to all of that stuff, I don't feel that any of those counters are. It becomes rock, paper, scissors instead of an interesting game of cat and mouse, which I don't think is beneficial to the game either. So I started building a restrict. Well, this actually happened. I was talking to Nicolo. Nicolo freaked out because he thinks Terrell is ridiculously OP right now. He thinks they have too much draw, too much renown, and too many ways to build a board in comparison to everyone else. So I started building crazy talk, right? So I started building fair enough. Right, Greyjoy is the solution, but a solution doesn't solve the problem, it just makes it binary. So, like the singular solution. Yes?
Let's just ignore your mixed metaphor there and just keep going.
It's a bad metaphor.
I feel like that was a classroom strategy right there. You say something and you go, yes. like
this is pure BS that just came out of my mouth, but we'll just get ignore.
I'm very tired. I'm very tired.
That's what I'm saying. Keep going, Glazer.
Correct.
Ass hat. All right. So I started building a restricted list, and then I was like, I've done a restricted list before, so I made Roy and John help me. So me, Roy, and Dark Nudge put together a restricted list, and that's what we're going to talk about for the next little bit. What's on it, why, and what the effects are.
All right. So we are starting with the neutrals, but they didn't pull off the plots here. But I think I can do this real quick. Okay. So we start with the plots.
I had one request.
I'm just going from the list here. All right. I'm going to do it myself. It might take me a second. But Buzz, did you put the plots up as a separate slide?
No.
Who are watching? Okay, so
I had no intention of doing that.
You told us you would do it 15
No.
minutes.
All right, the plots are
Yes,
surprise. Alexander Hines, The Annals of Castle Black. Surprise. Jack Poltman,
So hang on. Anything that's previously on the restricted list stays. We're not taking anything off.
Annals of Castle Black, King in the North, which is Heads on Spikes, and Littlefinger's Meddling, I believe, are all of the plots that are on our list. So, what do we think about that group?
Wait. Glazer just said they didn't take anything off, and you already took off a plot.
You have taken off wheels within wheels. You've taken off.
Oh, wheels should be there. I'm sorry.
Wheels as well.
Get it on. I was like, whoa, get it on there.
We can just add things that are just like already there, right? Like I didn't go through and it was already there because it's about the changes, really. I just hate it. Annals and Flea Bottom are where the list started.
So Meddling and Heads are the new breeds, right?
Oh, and Yakut.
And King.
So, do you want to talk about all of them? Pick a spot to start. Because we have to talk about them individually, right?
I mean, I think Heads on Spikes is the first one, right? Like Heads on Spikes is a variance. It's got 2 arguments against the high variance card, and 2, it just continues both a combination of passive and rush power. That's like, so you get like you can go the Tomas route with Night's Watch Fealty. That's passive deck that uses Heads on Spikes as an accelerant, or you can go with the fucking obnoxious SoCal Stolic deck, slash Italian deck, of the Lannister version, right? That's running those spikes.
Right? So I lost to a Bera version of that deck at Jesse's tournament.
The other reason that's on there is that there's a more honest version of this card that's out now. I don't remember what it's called, but the one that Danny gave the friendly ruling to, False Spring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
False Spring is similar enough to this without the increased variance, and it requires you to actually work and play with and use, and your opponent can try to play around it. And
but you don't get 2 power.
Yeah, right. That's
I think it's the 2 power at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, it's no doubt it's the power. I don't care about the discard.
Well, yeah, because hard heads is the same card without the power, and plays that.
Right. No. So what I'm saying is, if you want to play a discard deck, which is ultimately what Heads it seems to be designed for, or an increasing variance for reasons I'm not clear on, but like you can just play False Spring if you're running that discard deck and get much of the same effect without the swinginess. And you have to build toward it and play with it instead of just going, haha, I opened this random good stat plot and got 2 power, and now I can close the game.
So the idea is like to separate the discard from the passive power, because there's no Winter Festival here, but I'm assuming because that's just power, straight power, nothing else. Whereas Heads on Spikes had that double duty.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of justification?
And you can also play around. You can't play around Heads on Spikes, right?
Winter Festival has
it's not having characters in your hand, but that's not an ideal situation, right?
Someone always tells.
Oh, well, that's true. but you can play around, like just playing a bunch of summer plots plays around.
True.
Like Winter Festival, or just knowing if you have one summer plot, it's like, oh, they need to go Winter Festival here. I'll do my Time of Plenty or whatever, right? So.
Also, Winter Festival is just generically bad in the meta with things like Bitter Bridge that just naturally run a pile of summer plots. Like, sometimes you don't have to guess to beat that plot. Like,
particularly when you're playing Bitter Bridge. It's anyway.
So meddling is there as a combo breaker.
Buzz, do you have anything to say? You've got that like Buzz look, like good. All right,
no, he's waiting for us to get to the King
of
the North.
Yes.
So can we do meddling
King of the North?
King of the North? No,
then let's do meddling. Right.
Meddling is a combo breaker. A lot of the new combo requires meddling, and just getting it separated from other cards that are coming later on the list is the entire goal here.
Yeah, like this next pack alone needs meddling on their.
So I'm printing an alt-art version of Dark Nodge's face on it for Red Saturday this year. So it's his favorite card in the game.
See, this is the kind of stuff I'm fine with. Meddling is a fine card normally. It's totally fine. But it's so busted in this one deck, so we have to cut it loose.
Yeah, we do.
So let's just jump from the frame
also,
pan
remember,
to the
wait,
fire
wait.
here.
No, stop, because I'm not done. But it's important because there's a thought on that brief. Okay, calm down. Meddling. Remember, restricted list is not a banned list. This is where people drive me crazy, because every time we took a restricted list, people whine about banned cards, which drives me crazy. Because spoiler, Targ or Martel could still run meddling regardless of a list, because if you want that cheap Vengeance for Elia or that cheap extra burn, it's still worth it to run meddling in certain decks. It's just you're running it in certain event-heavy decks instead of running it to enable some broken shit. This is not a banned list. Although a couple cards are banned by the list. We'll get there.
Classic Blazer. All right. So can we now jump into the depths of hell here and talk about Jakob's card? So before Buzz gets to demolish your arguments, please present them, Glazer.
So ultimately, the deck runs in an unfair manner toward Martel, but also in general toward houses. It's just variance heavy whether you see a king or not. I would not even consider restricting this if it didn't have the king rider on it. I think the king rider is a severe design mistake, because it just increases variance on the plot very heavily. I think that this is a lot of decks chosen restricted cards, even if it's restricted, which speaks to its power and ultimate ubiquity. I feel like if Greyjoy and Lannister players that aren't at least and Tyrell players who aren't at least considering playing this, except out of Bitterbridge, are making a very, very awkward and big mistake. This card straight up, like just by flipping in certain houses and certain matchups, just wins and closes games by its existence when you have a king and they don't. And there's literally nothing a lot of decks can do about it. I don't think that's healthy. It should have to be a choice that you build around, not just something you stick in and it's like, hey, I saw Balon, I win now. Buzz?
You're wrong. I mean, what? What are you even saying? Nothing makes sense.
I agree with Buzz.
What?
I think
wait, Sandy, let Buzz explain.
Yeah,
let me hear. I gotta hear this.
This has not been in any big tournament victories, right? And that's always the argument people are going for. It has not done well.
Not the argument he gave, though.
Sure, but I mean, he doesn't like it. He plays Martell. Boo fucking who, I do as well. This is great.
Your economy is...
All right, let Buzz finish his
yeah,
argument.
It's an excellent choke card as well. I would consider running this in HRD White Tree. They don't have kings.
You shouldn't.
They don't have kings. I can choke.
Man.
Oh yeah, you can play Mans. I would. But I mean, you do not require to have a king play this plot. No.
You kind of are.
No,
because if your opponent flips a king and you don't, you've just fucked yourself royally. Like, it is genuinely really bad.
No. If you play such a deck that I'm talking about, then you wouldn't fuck yourself. You play Gates of the Moon instead of the regular stuff. Play Rose Roads instead of reducers. You make your deck around this card, and it's excellent. You don't need a king.
I totally agree. I think this is a high skill card, and I think that it's a high skill card regardless of if you're playing a faction that has a built-in king or not. You can play this out of Bara and totally fuck it up, even though they have 7 kings. Good. Or you can play it out of, well, I don't know that you would play it out of Martell, but you could definitely play it out of Night's Watch.
But hang on,
if
it didn't have the King Rider, there's Martell decks I would consider this in.
Which is why the King Rider, this would be Martell's best card. Like, this would just be stupid.
Yeah, I don't like that variance. I just really hate,
it's not variance if it's deck building. Like, you're actually
deck building.
So
it's Stark barely has the option. Stark has an attachment into its deck that could make it run this. Martell has literally nothing. Yeah,
has Mans. Everybody has Mans.
Yeah, okay, a 7 cost, right? Like, it's so.
Yeah.
Except for the two, the 2 cost ones, right?
I think with Glazer, I mean, I agree with some of the things that's Andreas and Andy have said. I think what Glazer's trying to say, I guess, is he doesn't like that just sort of stumble into a situation where you know, because right now, at least in North America, people are not building their deck around it. They're trying to use it to not use it in the way that Buzz does. They're trying to use it in a pure efficiency way, which is that my deck, either there's a lot of decks in the meta like Martell that just never have a king. And if I see my king, then I just roll you, or I get 1 turn off, right? It's not really trying to pull the synergies and design your deck really around. It's running the same bullshit. It's running the Tyrell brush, right? That DC came up with is running largely the same bullshit brush that Tyrell always ran, but now has this one plot that occasionally I can just blow a Martell deck out if I see Renly early, right?
Yep.
And that's what Glazer's arguing against here. While Buzz is arguing sort of, I think, for how Jakob designed the card, which is to build these interesting decks to try to leverage the synergy that you can create.
Which in North America still do not exist.
So
yeah, which have not made a splash in New York, not New York, the North American meta at all.
I do think it's interesting that you think that 1 good turn constitutes a blowout.
Like, that's Tyrell Rush.
It absolutely does.
Yeah. It can. Like, you're
wrong,
well,
maybe
Sandy.
we should just restrict all decks that have 1 good turn. All turns should be identically functionally equivalent. Every game should go to 5
Sandy,
points.
All right.
Sandy, that's definitely not a logical fallacy at all.
Well, this is definitely a logical argument.
So,
yeah, but I mean, I'm kind of with Sandy and Buzz a little bit on this. Like, the king in the north, like, yeah, if you have the king, they don't, and you have all your stuff and they don't, like, yeah, you can blow a turn open, but so do a lot of plots.
Yeah,
and Buzz is talking about building a whole deck around a single plot. Like, what are you guys really worried about here? Like,
because you don't have to build the whole deck. But so timeout. What other plots besides resets can just swing a game this way?
Well, there's the ones to the south,
which is not on this list.
There's trade routes.
What plot was that?
I'm just looking at my plot deck right now.
Wardens of the South and trade routes are nowhere on the same planet as a good king in the
Trade
North.
routes is a money card.
Yeah, that's not
yeah,
on the same
getting
planet.
27 gold wins games. I mean, I hate to break it
Not
to you guys.
any more than getting 10
All right.
does.
Well,
So I having run this card in a deck in the manner in which Roy is expressing it, like I built Greyjoy Reigns and then I put in 2 king attachments and a Mance and played the same Greyjoy Reigns list that I played, and it was like 5 times better. Like it was insane. I got to play it against 2 turns against CT because we flipped plots, and I just crushed him with it both times.
Are you saying it's a good, like, there are cards? I mean, I don't know. I don't see that as an argument against it. I think it's a good card.
You don't see anything as an argument for anything on the restricted list, Sandy. It's kind of pointless debating you on this.
All right. No, it's not. On the show.
That's definitely not a logical fallacy.
That's a logical fallacy.
Yeah.
All right. So
Wow,
I'm going to, like Will Lens, I'm going to close a chapter on this book. Discussing here. All right. So we're going to move on. Well, very briefly, because we do not need to talk about this more. The only other neutral card I see that is not already on the restricted list is Flea Bottom. But we're not going to.
Not true. Dorniston's wife.
Dorniston's wife, which is on the Arl,
Yeah,
I
that's just a
did it
combo card.
first.
All right. I apologize. There's Flea Bottom, which we're not discussing. I will tell Buzz to mute you. Start talking about why Flea Bottom should be on this. We've talked about it endlessly on the show. So Dorniston's wife. The arguments about that card.
It's anti-combo. It's fine.
It's combo. Let's go. Next.
All right.
I agree. I don't think there's any argument.
Farah has no cards on Aaron. And so let's move on to Stark. Core brand, the Dark Naj.
Wait. Baratheon. Was there any discussions on what could have been on?
So
no discussion about table chair at all.
So we looked at it, but it's not that good, especially because Drowned God stuff is in the meta, and it's really hard to run into. There's also enough like Greyjoy that just steals your shit, and enough Stark that just Frozos your shit. That like, I don't think Barra's bad, but I don't think they're in a good enough place to be taken down. I think with all these restrictions, they're about on par with all these houses.
Put another way, Aaron. We believe that there's enough natural predators for Barra Dom decks now that they don't need the intervention of restricted list.
But I happen to have watched the rest of this league, and you're talking about Drowned God, and you're kind of neutering Drowned God. So Barra, let's go, because they are not restricted at all.
Yeah, right. And like, is it just me, or is Drowned God the biggest straw man in the game right now?
Oh yeah,
because everyone's like, but Drowned God. It's like, show me the Drowned God. Show me the Drowned God. I'm ready to
show you.
So
I will show you the Kubla.
Yeah,
I'm ready, Sandy, because I've seen all the cards. I've seen the decks. Please show me you dominate any. Let's show me any tournament, because if it was that good, people would be playing it now. Like bullshit that we're all saving it. We're saving our secret sauce for the big tournament. We are the gatekeepers of all the good decks, and we will release them when they want. Fuck that. No, if it was good, it would be played in other parts of the world, all over the place. Bullshit, I call it. I'm ready. I'm ready to be proven wrong.
Never been how this works.
Straw man.
Hold on.
Drowned God. The fucking boogeyman.
Hold on 1 second. Ending Sid's rant here.
All right.
Has the Drowned God new cards been legal for a giant tournament yet? Was it legal in Italy?
A giant? How about anything?
So.
Like a large tournament, like more than like a store championship? No. Like, so we haven't. I mean, this
we don't
seriously,
know.
Sid. We just don't know, because The cards haven't been in the wild in a large 30+ person tournament yet. It's just that simple. Like we could, who knows? Kubla, Kubla could be the day of the Drown God. Who knows? But like, look at Sandy. He's like, oh yeah.
I brought that up to Sid, and he said he was okay with it. So
yeah, that's fine. Like
Kubla is
it's a new deck, right?
I'm gonna. It would make my day if there was a one-turn kill.
Never done anything.
There's not a one-turn. That's not how
Greyjoy is not a one.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like 1.5 turns.
Okay, it's like
it's about to.
All right, we're gonna get bogged down into like
Night's crack.
Is a deck that wins on turn 5 with a combo, like, is that degenerate? Like, is a turn 5 combo deck degenerate?
How about we come to that later? Because we're not even close to Greyjoy yet. Breathe.
Okay. So Barra, the argument could be for Chamber and Chair.
Sillies.
Going there.
So I don't feel like that's necessary. Perhaps you do. It could be.
So happy because Barra is so attached at the hip to dominance right now. It's hard to restrict it, right? Because it's like, well, what do we do?
It's existed for the entire life of the game, and it hasn't won anything in a year, 2 years now. So like,
no,
I mean, this isn't.
I have my eyes on Celis, if anything, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm.
I think she's great and very swingy in ways I'm not sure are totally healthy, but I also don't think that she makes them good enough for it to matter. She wins you a couple games, you shouldn't. She doesn't win you tournaments, or I shouldn't, right?
I think that's fair.
Unless you walk into a Martell and Night's Watch meta, then
right.
Are you saying she's high variance?
I'm saying she's high variance on a game level.
So I would. That's not how I would think of it. But anyway, the question is what you would separate Celise from, but
Melisandre without just banning her is the problem, right?
So let's move on to Stark and put Darknage like must be on the restricted list card. This is Darknage puts hard for this card, which is Core Brand, because Core Brand allows combo decks to get around the restriction hand judgment.
Yep.
Yeah. Like same reason why he'll probably push for, if you really want to go to war combo, someone always tells. You'll see Naj pushing for that soon. Like it's any of these things that get around Danny choosing to restrict Hand's Judgment as a tool to combat combo.
But those combo decks have to run Banner Stark, right?
Tyrell. There's a Tyrell
Have
Wolf.
you not been paying attention to ladies?
Yeah.
The deck is there. It's not even. It's not even.
It's not as good as the Lion version. But
you need to pay more attention to fucking meta outside of what's obvious. Because this deck.
I am paying attention.
Obviously not, man. You're like, what? Why would you Banner Stark? Okay. Are you kidding?
So
they have like 8 ladies.
Banner Stark is already very good.
Yeah.
I don't
play. Okay, guys.
I don't care about the combo restriction. Sure, that's great. I think he should be there anyway because of his flea bottom restriction. Yeah.
Yes. Separate from flea bottom.
One of the most stupid interactions, if not the.
Not the.
It's definitely not the most because it turns it off for a turn. You have to put him under.
It is not the most because Stark's not that great.
No, it's. I'm saying it's not the most because he doesn't guarantee anything. Like he stops them from playing an event that turn, but then he goes under your deck because there's not a way to get him off the board after that.
No,
Wyman.
There are ways, but you need an additional card. Yes.
Wyman the event and the same 3 sack things we just discussed.
Okay.
But yeah,
so there's no real, except for Sid not believing the Banner Wolf dream.
I'm not disagreeing though with him.
I don't think that's the reason. I think there's other good reasons, like those just stated, but not because of combo.
So I would like to get done in like the next hour, so I'm gonna cut down us talking about adding cards and just talk about the decision of these cards. I'm gonna make a host decision. So Lannister has 3 cards, which is Treachery, Big Cersei, and what's the other one?
Taina.
Oh,
still on there.
Yeah, so ignore Taina. So Big Cersei Treachery might not need to be there. I actually didn't have Big Cersei. John insisted. I just wanted Treachery.
And Roy didn't want Treacheries.
So
Doesn't John want Big Cersei on there for more combo reasons? Like...
Yeah. John wants Big Cersei on there to stop the Big Cersei rush should that become a thing again. But also, I just feel like if we're weakening all the other decks, and the Martell and Tyrell lists are fucking huge, right? So we're weakening these other lists. So the clear best deck would be that Lanny rush unless we weaken it. And one of the main ways to weaken its consistency is the Heads, Treachery, Big Cersei one.
But couldn't you just put Cersei and Heads and then like let the Treachery?
Cersei and Heads is enough.
That's the
feel
big
like-
one, right?
So it's basically a soft ban on treachery. Right?
Yeah,
I don't
it
think
is.
so. I don't think so at all. I think that
It is
look, it's not a real, but like things like Klansman and things like Lanny Wolf and things like Lanny Reigns, which is by the way really good against Tars.
Wait, Lanny Wolf wants treachery.
Lanny Reigns would absolutely play Big Cersei.
Lanny, you think Lanny Wolf would play Big Cersei? I'm not
Lanny
100% sure.
Reigns.
Not
Yeah.
Lanny Wolf.
I'm
Yeah,
not
what's
sure Lanny
treachery?
Reigns. Little Cersei is good in certain versions. Lanny Reigns like really good.
Lanny
There's
Wolf wants-
Lanny Wolf wants Little Cersei. Like these are decks that run in
Doesn't
treachery.
Lanny Wolf want Bran though?
No, I don't think so at all. I really don't think so. I don't think he cares about Bran. Like I've cut Bran for most of my Wolf packages. There's just so many fucking good Wolf cards right now that
Maybe.
it's not necessary unless you're going really heavy on fully bottom and have ways to recur that. But treachery is fucking fantastic, right? Like it's basically if you're running Rush, you're Big Cersei because hey, she's an insane Rush card. But if you're running Tempo or other things, you're now running treachery.
I don't know. The list already it takes away the best Lanny Crossing build. You take away treachery, like Lanny doesn't have Lanny has nothing but the Crossing Rush build right now. That's all they really have.
Really
What are
true.
you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're cutting all the legs off.
It has
Still
some
not
sleeper
true.
decks, but I don't
it
think
has
that
a few
they're.
sleeper decks.
Burn.
There's some
They're-
like tier 2, but there's nothing that's even
Yeah.
1.5.
If treachery is
Well-
restricted, we just put the Lanny cards on the Valpurgis
Yeah,
Knights.
You
Flame.
you just soft ban
Like-
Lannister. That's what
Nope.
you did.
I don't think so because I think that treachery is just usually a restricted card. I think Lanny has a lot of good stuff that we're not seeing because there's a lot of natural predators and a lot of natural predators get knocked down super hard by this list.
I mean, I don't think Aaron is wrong there. I think this list
Sure.
overall does up like mid-range Lannister decks up a lot. But I'm still like the problem is treachery is one of the best anti-combo. Like the things that players don't like about the combo, things like the wall, the generally like unpopular strategies. Treachery is I hate treachery and I hate Lannister. I hate all of its themes. But and I've been consistent about this even when I was playing against Lanny Reigns every fucking minute of my life playing this game competitively. Treachery is a card that balances the existence, helps keep certain things in check. In fact, the decline of Lannister in general is one of the reasons why some of these decks get to run rampant because you see treachery less.
So Begging Brother and Brother's Robes are both in the meta now, and I feel like they serve enough of the same same function.
Totally agree.
I don't like. I think run Begging Brother and actually have to like play it, and Begging Brother should be in way more decks than it is still.
Sure, but you still can't put it in banner decks. Like,
Can't put Begging Brother in banner decks.
yeah,
Why?
because you don't have space for it.
Why? I
Well,
very often do.
all right,
You find space, but yeah, I think you're underselling how good Begging Brother is.
Any further
I love
thoughts
Begging
about
Brother. It's
Lannister?
one of my favorite cards. I just can't see how you fit it with 12 cards of another faction.
I'll show you.
I
bottom.
mean,
That isn't Martell.
I've seen both
Yeah.
Aaron and Chris decks that they've built, and I can definitely see why Chris would say that. And I can also definitely see why Aaron would disagree. You guys have very different prioritization.
That's true.
They do. So
I'm not mid range.
So, can we move on? Speaking of mid-range, can we move on to Greyjoy, or do people
Sure,
have any
yeah.
thoughts about that?
Greyjoy, there's 3 cards I'm very sure I want on there, and 2 cards that are preemptive that I could be talked off for a later list. So, Iron Mines, Huron, and We Do Not Sow, I am absolutely sure I want on the list. And Tarl and Give Him to the Drowned God, I can go.
Super curious
Interesting.
how Asha didn't make.
What?
How Asha didn't make.
Because you should be able to play Asha. Like, Greyjoy doesn't have a card draw engine at all, really. Engine, not like, except her, so you should be able to play her. But, like, hey, what are you using her for? How do you keep her on the board should be a decision point instead of just like, I'm playing all the big things, and now Asha's discarding things, and I'm stealing all your stuff, and you can't get them off the board, and I'm destroying your stuff with that stuff.
So, I
remember
actually,
correctly. Danny, go ahead.
I think Chris has played more Greyjoy than I have, but
He's
will-
played more than
play-
anybody.
I do think that your first 3 are mostly good, but I would remove Iron Man. I think Greyjoy is not competitive with us. I think you're right about Euron and we didn't so though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so I think Iron Mines is there partially because of Scotty, and partially because it's just so cheap and easy. Like, it's not like they don't have other saves, right?
It is like
kind of. I mean, it is pretty
They
much
have
like
Dupes,
They have
dupes
the
and
events.
bodyguards.
Risen.
And
They have
Risen, dupes, and bodyguards. Like that.
Risen,
Isn't that
dupes, and
enough?
bodyguards. They have 3 different ways to save things on top of whatchamacallit, air on damp hair. Like, that's already, like, no one else has anything close
It's
to
their
that. They already have
theme.
Sure,
It is their
and
theme.
they have so is location destruction, and no one else has any
so.
of either.
But 2 of the 3 things you said as their alternatives, everybody has in Dupes and Bodyguards.
Yeah,
So you
but
can't
all
really
their
say
good,
it's
all
their
their
theme
good guys are
because-
giant lords, right?
So I think the fundamental
It's
question.
true of Stark
even-
as well.
Yeah, but Sark sucks.
I mean, I think
Wait
there's a
minute,
strong
we
disagreement.
have Aaron's champ card. I really don't think Iron Mines belongs there. Isn't this the reason why that card exists? Like, come on, man. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, I don't want you to be able to have an offensive valor, and I want you to be able to be hurt by my champ card. Like,
Yeah.
It
leave
also-
Iron Mines.
also
Let them
further-
have the Iron Mine.
Rips out what the last vestiges of anyone playing Banner Kraken. Like,
Yeah,
there's just
Yeah.
no
I hate
point at
Banner
that.
I haven't seen Banner Kraken in.
Sure, it's already bad, and you're potentially taking
Yeah.
away their
I
Best
mean, you're
card
taking away a
in
card
general.
that doesn't exist. Seems kind of, and you're not taking it away. Remember, not a ban list. Like, because your
Sure,
banner
but
decks are
taking
not
it away
running Euron.
if it's something that is elsewhere on the list. Like,
Yeah.
if like
Fine.
Lannister, Banner Kraken, are you gonna pick like you're not gonna do
Treachery or
that.
Iron Mines?
I'd pick Iron
Cersei,
Mines.
Treachery, or Iron Mines. Like,
Yeah.
I'd pick
You don't
Iron
pick
Mines.
Iron Mines?
Absolutely
over
pick Iron
Big
Mines.
Cersei, no
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah,
Over
Lannister Kraken,
treachery.
100% of the time, I would take Iron Mines.
All right. So
So you're on. Okay.
Has
can I talk
Aaron
about-
won a game? Like, has Aaron played games that are like?
Aaron doesn't
competitive
play this
recently?
game, and you know
He doesn't
it.
play the game. that
no,
he's-
that's not
he's a
true.
pure
Aaron plays the
trash
game a
gamer.
lot.
I
Actually.
play like 6 games a night, guys. I have a Greyjoy deck
He-
that
he does.
just
I haven't
rotates
seen
really
Valar
I
Morghulis
have
in a
2
while.
I have 2 Greyjoy. I have 2 Greyjoy decks that just placed at the fucking tournament this weekend. So okay, but
That
whatever.
doesn't mean you don't play them. You just build random decks. That's fine.
Okay.
I think I'm in Aaron's playtest group. Spoiler here. And
I play
Glazer
a
does
lot.
actually play test again. Does build random decks and give, but he is actually playing more than he has anytime, and he's been to a bunch of tournaments this year. Yet, so
So okay,
even if he
Euron-
hasn't done spell.
Euron's bad design, particularly with Asha and Asha and We Do Not Sow. So you can have one, but not both.
I definitely like splitting Euron
It-
and
it-
so.
It's
Yeah.
just how easy it is to
Yeah.
swing a game through pure luck.
It's
Mhm.
one of the longest standing degenerate things in
Yeah.
second.
Euron's
Well,
just I mean, if
Euron
there's a
was
ban list, Euron should
course
be
that,
banned.
right?
Although
Yeah.
I have to admit,
Shouldn't never been
it is
permitted.
funny to watch, and they already have plenty of other counters now. But back at the height of the Night's Watch winter that we
Yeah.
had, it was funny to watch Night's Watch decks just scoop up their cards after they got so Euroned and
Yeah.
had their ball stolen, and just like, well, I don't have another win con here, so all my power monocons do.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
but
that was funny.
now that like Breaking Ties and stuff is out, I think it's fine to split.
Yeah, I would have taken off Iron Mines, added the Asha, and taken off Tarl.
I don't want to separate Asha. I feel like Asha has to stay free. I'm fine with
I
Tarl.
actually
going
agree with that.
Fine with Tarl going. I
I-
don't
if-
think we need to hit Greyjoy yet. I think we're going to.
Oh, no,
you know what? I think the
Asha
big
takes
difference-
too long to play.
I don't.
It's a
agree. I think-
mechanical.
I don't care with that about
Wait,
that
wait,
part.
hang on. I think the difference
I know
between
there's nothing
Dan,
to do.
I think that's the big difference between Danny and Nate, where Nate would sort of start with a theme or an idea for like faction identity and get sort of distracted and do other things. Danny just keeps hammering an idea. And
He's a magic
hammer-
player. He's a
Yeah,
magic
he's
player.
hammering Crown Guard
Yeah,
cards.
yeah.
So like this is preemptive on the assumption that Danny's going to continue to be Danny and be like more Drowned God until it breaks. So Tarl and Given can go away, but like I'm pretty
Like,
sure
Nate
the
designs like
For
Eric
now.
Lang,
For
and
now.
Mike and Danny designs like
sure.
Mike Rosewater does.
I'm pretty sure the draw on that
Mike
deck
Rosewater.
has to be limited.
Rosewater, is that how you spell it?
Mark Rosewater.
Excuse me, Mark Rosewater. Excuse me. But like it's so like if you look at Eric Lang games, that's Nate French. like Eric just like kind of throws stuff out there and sees what sticks, and some stuff doesn't, some stuff does, and then but the Magic design team like iterates and iterates and iterates and iterates and iterates and iterates.
Sure.
And that's what Danny does
Because
like,
of the core principles of the color pie, which makes sense for Thrones.
Wait, I've got a thought. If Mines goes off, can Risen go on since we're restricting every single event? Every single event cancel? So Mines off.
I'm okay with that trade. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I would do that. This way, like, because this way, like, if you can't cancel, that's really
Risen's more obnoxious than Iron Mines. Iron Mines on the board.
You can plan
around it. Yeah. You can make them burn it, and then there's nothing more obnoxious than spending a lot of time burning those dupes and making them burn the Iron Mines. And then they're like, Risen! Yeah, they coppers into the Risen. You're just like, I spent 3 turns setting this up, wearing you down. But yeah.
Oh, I tricked you with those 3 cards.
Anyway, all right.
Targ. Let's talk Targ.
I think
there's only 2 cards. I think it really fucks
you, Danny, and Khal Drogo.
Danny and Drogo. That's it.
Faith Militant Danny, and Drogo.
So I don't know that it does much.
I think it does because you're missing the
neutral.
So
you're still Flea Bottom. You're right. Flea Bottom big. Yeah.
So the issue is Danny without Flea Bottom is much harder to play because you have to run so heavy on events. It's when you can run her with Flea Bottom and you don't really have to stress your character base that she's so problematic. And Drogo is just that early blowout. And like, dude, if you're running new Danny, you shouldn't get that early mill blowout. That's cheesy.
Never saw Danny or an event, but I saw Drogo.
But I saw Drogo turn 1. I saw Drogo turn 1, played Retaliation and won. Or like, and then you finally managed to play around it, and I dropped Danny. That's ridiculous.
Right. It's the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's like, and you can, and like, hey, you want to run like a Dothraki military bullshit? Pick between Flea Bottom and Drogo. You can run Flea Bottom, but you have to play the expensive dudes like old Danny.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say this also brings old Danny back into the mix, where like an old Danny Flea Bottom Dragons deck is like
still good.
So basically, you just play the deck as it existed before New Danny got printed.
No, because Khal
still without Drogo though. Still without Drogo.
Which is a really huge change, right? That's like true. I feel like the Targ is the most elegant of all these solutions.
Oh yeah. Well, but because I think the Targ card pool cruxes around certain cards in the ways in which others don't.
Yep.
And I think
my
restricted card in Targ is Flea Bottom 80% of.
I agree. I think that I run Targ decks with 28. Unheard of in other factions. I have Flea Bottom as a. I think this does a great job of.
So that brings us to Martell, because I think nobody disagrees with this.
Yeah, the Targ list is great.
Is Martell? Buzz, go ahead.
Buzz has something to say. Let's hear it.
I've been
thinking
about consuming flames.
But yeah, I was having the same thought actually. Like if any event has to go on there, isn't?
It feels like you're over-nerfing Targ at that point.
Without that Flea Bottom, that's a real cost.
Yeah. That's like what I mean though. So you break up Flea Bottom.
But you can play with Flea Bottom, but now you're not running Danny or Drogo. I feel like that's
no. But I mean, take off one of the and add consuming. Take off one of the other guys
instead of one. No, I wouldn't want to do that.
No.
Like then you've still got all the blowouts. Yeah.
He loves that art. He wants to take it out of his binder and put that new Danny art there.
I mean, having a board of like 5 big characters and setting up a big burn turn without them being in challenges. Oh, bam!
He loves it.
Littlefinger's meddling is restricted too.
That's right.
All right.
I don't play that.
I'd meddling turns with Targ Wars. But anyway,
else that I Targ list first.
Oh, that's Johnny Wright's big argument.
Yeah, Johnny Wright wants
that's an interesting one.
Simone.
So I think
it's also Steve Simone's question.
I've said this a few times, a few places I think now, but I think the game, much like first edition, is built around Valor. Second edition is built around all houses having the opportunity to play counting. I feel like the entire game, the entire way it's built, is around having that. And I don't like if you could restrict it just for Targ, we could talk. But like I feel like there's decks that just have the option to run it in order to exist.
Might be true.
What about when the houses find their stuff? Like Stark is getting there; they're getting better. Who else is still in bad shape for draw? Bad
Lannister.
shape.
Lannister.
And
People just need to play that attachment more.
Greyjoy.
It's only
Greyjoy
me
does
that play
not have
Fever
much draw.
Dreams.
That's right.
Yeah,
People just need to learn to play Fever Dreams.
Barra
That's
has
all.
all of one decent draw card too.
I mean,
And
Bear
Bear-
also does. Bear, I mean,
Yeah,
Red
Bear
Keep
has
has definitely been
one decent.
outpaced by power creep.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Like that's four houses that fairly badly need.
So I think it's interesting that you say that because I could make the same argument bottom. I think a lot of cases where there's an entire set of powerful decks possible by bottom. But Sony's argument,
I don't think any
not
of them
my
stop
argument.
existing.
well, is that counting coppers, and this is also Corey's argument, that counting coppers makes it too easy to recover from zero. Like it makes it too hard to take people down to zero because it's
Yeah.
coppered.
They can play 2 coppers, which is so frustrating. Now, and then never mind. Too much of a tangent.
wait. I'm sorry. So Corey is arguing that when you take people down to zero, it's too easy for them to come back? Or is he saying that it's too easy to take people down to zero because of counting coppers?
No, other way.
The
former.
first way.
See,
Well, then, here's where
we have 3 houses that have hand destruction themes, and they're bad. You're like, hey,
Can't do it.
counting. Oh, you did it again. Counting.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean, the problem though, but here's the thing though, those cards were printed with counting coppers existing, right? Because hand destruction you have to be really careful with, because if you can have decks that consistently empty your opponent's hand by turn 1, and they're surviving on those 2 cards for the rest of the game, every turn, that's not fun. That's not fun for any type of player, right? Like your opponent turn 1 discarded. Say you played 3 cards that turn, 4 cards. They discarded 5 cards from your hand.
They play wraiths and then go some intrigue and then the game's over.
So how about counting limit 1?
I mean, that's
counting limit 1.
Fine.
But
that's
we're not doing a rot, right?
Yeah, there's other things that I would rather limit 1 heads on spikes than restrict or than errata it. So
we're not getting errata. Can we just move on from that?
No, not errata. I'm ready for the big change. Just no more 2 copies of anything. Just rid of it.
It's the same reason why I don't like Rookie.
None of that's happening.
Some cards.
It happened in season.
Not happening.
Wait.
All right.
Alex Hines will not let that
started
happen.
out as 2 ofs and then moved away from it.
CCG started as 2 ofs, and eventually they're like, "Well, we have enough plots. Let's stop this nonsense. Give people more choices." And it was great. And honestly, it's gonna happen here too. It's gonna happen here too.
Good.
They literally
Wars
just
to
printed
come
Wars to
wasn't
Come.
good enough. Yeah.
They literally just printed Wars to Come. They're not doing that.
So
now Wars to Come would be even better because instead of having 0
explicitly says
dupes, it would have 2 dupes.
Yeah, Defiance was almost good in 2nd edition, except for that 1 power.
First
Surprised, yeah. But Martell, yes. So we got the Viper, we have Core Arion, we have Doran's Game, we have Secret Schemes, we have Someone Always Tells, and Shadow City Bastard. So this is just like punching Martell in the face. Not as much as the brutality that is inflicted upon Tyrell in a moment. So just show you the unbiased. I listed half of these cards, and Aaron forgot half of the cards that should be on the Tyrell list.
I did full Martell list, which is destroying my favorite house. It was Secret Schemes or Doran's Game, but I think Secret Schemes is more combo-y and just more like I can burst like crazy. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen all the Ricasso bullshit that's floating around suddenly. Like, Secret Schemes is just silly. And like, I feel like that Martell's getting punched in the face enough that Doran can stay off, because separating Arion and Flea Bottom is humongous. And then if you do choose Flea Bottom, not being able to do Shadow City is also.
So you're saying you're not going to restrict Doran's Game because it's on the list?
It's on the list.
You put both schemes and game on the list, though.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But what did you mean? You said
either.
You said you have to
They're
choose,
both.
but both are on the list. No, you said you can. I don't know. Doran's Game is on the list. Because that's not what you said. Okay.
But that's not what you said.
I mistook. I'm sorry. I meant to say Dorn.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought you
Dorn.
said.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I thought I said too. That's just spoke. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dorn in Secret Schemes, I feel like hitting Shadow City, Arion, and Flea Bottom is enough that Dorn can still exist as is, because otherwise you're just sort of destroying Martell entirely.
Isn't Dorn like such a perfect restricted card though? It is so powerful. You feel like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play this restricted card. It's so good.
Sure, maybe, but like, I think if you restrict it with Arion and the other cards, you're just bad. You're just making Martell bad, and the point isn't to make Martell bad; is to make you have to decide what kind of Martell deck you want to play. And sure, you're probably still playing Dorn, but like, that was going to be the case. Like, you were either going to play Dorn and have a bad deck, or you can play Dorn and have a good deck, right?
Yeah. You'll notice that the wall is also not on the Night's Watch one.
Yeah, the wall is also not on the Night's Watch list because that would just it would do the same thing.
You can't do that.
No, but that's
So, like,
completely different.
I don't think so.
Well,
They
Dorn
have-
is
okay,
different
they
to
have- they are
Martell
both
than the
four
wall is to the watch.
They
That's true.
they
different.
both 4-cost locations, but they're written.
I mean, Martell was really good before Dorn.
Sure, but it
Night's
was
Watch's
also
fundamental theme are built around a single.
it was
Yeah.
also only really good with Secret Schemes along with Arion and something else, right? You see what I mean? Like, it was also like if you remove Secret Schemes and Dorn
Fleabot.
and Arion and Flea, your Martell deck isn't. It needs a way to get cards if control is going to exist.
Yeah,
If-
but what I'm not saying. Again, I'm not saying put Dorn on as well. I'm saying Dorn's
instead?
game. Should it be
Why
there?
is Dorn,
Like a
why is
combo
Dorn's
card. That's
Dorn's
why it's
game
there.
Is it?
is a lot oh yeah. It's a lot of
Sure.
silly.
Okay, it's
recent
a
combo
combination
that's happening.
card, but it's not a
Right.
degenerate OTK
Right, no,
card.
it's not.
No,
It's-
It
You
it,
need
it
a few
needs a
turns
lot
to
of
get there.
pieces. It
No, you
needs a
don't.
board presence.
You can literally get like 5 or 6 power on turn from that one plot. It's a lot
The
from that
change
one,
of plans.
event. Yeah, you just play a change of plans and drop you start open with the 0/0/0. You flip a Ricasso
Okay.
and then you play a change of plans, and now you're
you
at it.
play Ricasso. You flip into something.
Yeah,
you play
I know.
Ricasso,
I have a
turn
Reigns
two.
deck. It plays because the Reigns also gives you another one.
Yeah.
And change of planes. It does.
Wait, Rain's
Why
plots
it's
go
revealed
out of
it
play.
Yeah, no.
I see. Oh, no,
Why
the
it's
plot.
revealed.
And so
Actually,
so
right there.
so on
And
the
you can search
on
for it right there. Yeah.
so on the turn you go off, you go win the intrigue, Dorn's game, flip into Spider's Web, right? Do another intrigue, another Dorn's, bam. But it's so many pieces.
Like if you just play, like Martell is good at slowing the game down. You play a fairly okay Martell stall deck, and then you can just like if you give them 7 or 8 power turn, they're just gonna win the. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you don't win that
Martell
turn.
7 or 8 power turn 2. What?
Okay, ready, real fast. Doran's game, good. We're pretending we're gonna flip Doran's game. We have Doran's game, and we have
You mean hold on? In Doran's name. No,
Yeah.
not even.
Doran's
No, you're
game.
talking about the plot. At Prince Doran's
Behest.
behest.
Yes,
There we go.
so
behest. So many Doran's things.
You have to have
Behest.
Doran's game in hand. You have to have Doran's game and Ricasso. Those are the two you must have. Fair?
Mhm.
So you have, let's say we're playing Reigns. Behest, that's 1. Plot, and we're talking turn 2. So plot whatever, turn 1. Plot from turn 2 and Reigns. Now we're at 3 in the discard. We've got Ricasso, that's now 6.
Yeah, but I mean, so you're 6.
It-
Tyrell gets 15 on one turn. What?
Yeah, we're breaking
So
that
one
up.
of the
We're
most-
breaking that up too.
One of
Right,
the most
like-
degenerate and well-known combo players in the nation, Johnny Wright, is in chat saying that Doran's game is degenerate. So I think we
Yes.
should trust him on.
No, it is. And if it's not degenerate now, it's quickly
It
becoming
needs
so.
pieces.
Especially,
It's played around,
especially,
and you need a
with-
big board
wait,
presence.
especially with every single
You
event
do.
cancel restricted because combo sucks.
Yeah.
So if you can't
Totally
cancel
disagreement
it's
here.
straight
Oh my
NPE
god.
that you can't play.
All right. So we've definitely talked that one out. Anything else standing out in the Martell list as shouldn't be on there?
Yes. Ooh, yes.
What?
Oh.
The
Oh,
Red Viper.
Do you have a subtraction? Or an
Oh, the
addition?
Red Viper, the core one?
Yeah.
I assume.
No reason.
Okay, why shouldn't he be? This is purely a Hyper Viper hate.
Yeah, sure. I understand why he's there. But it should read, "You murder her children."
Instead of
Who
Core
plays "You
Viper?
murder her children"? No one. Who
Except
plays
Viper.
Red Viper? Some people.
I don't think you for children to Red Viper
So,
work.
oh, you do.
Oh, you do.
No, you don't.
And
Have
and
you-
even if you don't,
Maybe not with
you
the other
need
restricted
so
cards.
many more restricted,
Two.
so many
You need
more
2
pieces.
Doesn't
To
the
get, you need to get what's her
Picasso,
name?
I guess.
No, you need to get no. What's her name in the discard pile? Mag, and then a
Yeah,
single
kill-
Renly's Red. And you've got enough Viper
No.
for Adoran's game and for all the other stupid bullshit you want.
or with
Now
all the
you're-
Ricasso
What?
stuff, you can pump in with Prince's
Yeah,
plans.
exactly. Bunch of like this. Just don't bother. No, just restrict Viper.
But
Get him the
okay,
fuck out
so
of
the
here.
Red Viper boosts him to over 100.
Sure.
How are you gonna do that?
Because
I
you
mean, you
don't
need
have- because
3
there's
Lord
multiple-
Renly's Ride, and you need
so-
3
so-
Princess
so
Plan,
I'm-
and you're
so
at
I'm
50.
straight up- So I'm straight up telling you exactly
God.
what John's been doing. He's been exploiting that exact kind of thought process for all this combo. Because how can you do it? Because you only look at the way that it's been done, not
No.
the different ways you
No,
can do it.
I understand that it's possible, and that's fine because there's so many pieces. If you want to go off at turn 4 or 5 every game or so, good luck. I'm gonna have my 75% win ratio against you.
Straight up, you know what? Straight up kill it. I'm not waiting for someone for John to figure out the next way to break it. Straight up, just murder it dead.
The thing about
You murdered John.
Let people have their Martell Crossing decks.
Brienne,
can have it.
who I believe is on here in a second.
No.
And
Big
she's
Brienne
not.
is she not.
Brienne and
Yes,
Hyper
yes,
Viper
yes.
deck. They are the kind of combo decks that if combo decks, one turn kill combo decks are going to exist in the game. It should be based around a single character because that's the easiest to disrupt and play around. There's a reason why it didn't win Worlds, right? Like, I'm not saying it wasn't a good deck. It was a fantastic deck then. It was a really smart move for Jesse and crew to bring that deck. But I'm saying Reinhardt and other people and myself, I brought a deck that I played Hyper Viper once. I rolled Kevin, right? Like, it disrupt that deck. You can disrupt the Brienne decks in a way that you can't with the ladies. The problem with ladies as an OTK deck is it's incredibly difficult to disrupt without a big restricted list that just tears the pieces apart. Hyper Viper, you can put in a place with a restricted list, and this is where I think Buzz's argument could be convincing, is that you can put it in a place where it's reasonable, that goes off turn 3, like that original Italian Hyper Viper did, right? Which it had to go off maybe turn 2 if you saw all your pieces, but usually turn 3. By separating some of the stall engine, by separating some of the draw engine, restricting secret schemes and all your cancels, right? Like that, you can put it in a place that it's turn 3, it goes off turn 3 or turn 4. Like this could be, maybe I'm too degenerate or people are too sympathetic, but like if I lose to a combo deck on turn 3 or turn 4, that feels fair to me. Just like if I lose to a rush deck on turn 3 or turn 4, that feels fair in a way that we're losing turn 1 because Platts all his cards in testing, or losing like turn 2, you just know turn 2 you 100% lost and there's nothing you can do because the ladies deck, he's got like 90 ladies, is a very different like experience than it is losing a Hyper Viper at turn 3 or 4.
Maybe I'm out on a limb here, but I feel like less than what turn it goes off on. To me, the issue with combo decks, or at least what I dislike about them most, is the number of challenges that they don't do. Like the ladies deck literally had to do like 1 or 2. The Hyper Viper deck at least had to do usually 2 or 3 with the Viper. But the fact that
There's an event that
within
does that now.
1 challenges, whereas a rush deck, like, yes, they win on turn 3 or turn 4, but they had to do several challenges across those turns to make that happen.
I mean, several,
you
at
could
least
potentially
3
stop.
per turn. Probably,
Exactly.
yeah.
Depending on rush deck, yeah.
Sure, I agree. But my argument is not that much about this. My argument is I've seen
Right, you're
really
the
cool.
anti-collateral damage, which I
Yeah,
understand.
I'm super anti-collateral damage, and if John wants to re-break it with Core Viper without You Murder the Children, good luck.
No, because then we just need
You're
another
a cool
fucking
dude, man.
list in 2 days. I just
No,
want
I
it
mean,
gone. Just
so
make it be dead.
I don't understand. Like, you can't do much against rush decks. I mean, I the point about challenge why people, and it's also I think why people
Hated. I hate builds.
right. I don't know.
does a lot of things.
Didn't win. Anyway,
All right, Sandy,
That
make
should've
your
won
point.
instead.
Can we
no,
clip
I
that
think
too?
my point is that like
That
you
should be a
can't-
clip, by the way. Sandy's saying that. Skip that clip.
No. Okay. It's fine if somebody wins on plot 3, regardless of what random crap they do. It's not fine if somebody wins on plot 2. Is that really where we're drawing the line? Like, plot
for
is
a lot of the
That's where
community.
Roy is. That's where Roy is.
Okay.
And it's literally like we're not alone in this. Literally, how
Whoa.
Magic determines its formats. Like Modern
true.
was built as a turn 4 format. When there's decks that go off before then, they do something about them.
I mean, I'm fine with that as a litmus test. I actually think that makes discussion around combo very structured because you can say this combo cannot go up until turn 3. It's fine. If it takes you that long to assemble your pieces, your opponent can potentially win by then. And that pushes the win rate down. And it means Rush is a natural predator. And that's fine.
What we want in the card game, right?
Right.
We want predators that push
So-
certain decks in and out of the meta, right?
Right,
That's
well,
that's
okay,
all
so
I want.
Are we then saying the corollary to that is that if a deck does not have predators but requires deck building choices to be before turn 2, that it is degenerate and should be nerfed down?
Yeah, I think
I'm
there's
fair with
not
that.
one angle for
Yeah.
this. I think it's not just when does it win. I think it's when does it win at a sort of an angle with how disruptible it is. Because if you're saying the deck is guaranteed to win on turn 3, that's a different story than the deck is guaranteed to win on turn 3 unless you have one of your two answers by then. Yeah, exactly.
So like I think like Lanny Crossing by this match is actually fine because even though it can win on turn 2, it's disruptible. Same with
Highly
Tyrant
disruptible,
Rush.
and you do it by just beating them in the challenges. Like,
Yep.
Well, you can do that with Ladies combo too. Just beat the challenges. They can't win. You just
All
don't
right.
want them to win.
I really,
Yeah.
really love this conversation. This is like one of my favorite topics in the world.
Bro.
But we have Tyrell to talk about. And it's
No.
the biggest list.
Wait, you're not done
Oh,
with
wait.
Martel.
Yes, we are. What do you want?
No.
Liz?
Okay. So someone always tells.
Has to go.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'd like to know.
Plot should not be fucked with.
Right, exactly. Anything
that a
in the
question?
draw deck? No, I just. This is
Oh,
a show.
okay.
We can
Oh,
circle jerk
right.
all we want in our chats, but I mean, anything that interacts with the plots in your draw deck, so not Forgotten Plans, should be restricted. Anything, and I think we'll get to
not
there.
the one that
Meaning
puts
this-
things in your used plot pile, right?
Right. I mean the opponent
Like
stuff.
actually,
That
yeah.
can mess with an opponent's actual
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, the
read.
plots
like,
should
well,
be sacred.
Plot should be sacred, and like I would ban it if I could, but we can't. But we're not doing a ban list because we know they won't. So just restrict it with enough other shit that it doesn't see play. Like this is one of the like Shadow City Bastard also might be kind of banned because that card probably.
it probably is, but
But but like
we
Someone
had-
Always
Should be.
Tells, I think is the bandest card on this list
Yeah.
because fuck that card.
We had Wheels Within Wheels in first edition, right? And it was restricted for good reason. And now they're going sniffing again, like, how close can we get to Wheels without breaking the game? I don't like it.
No, I hate that
but
card.
Wheels
Like,
didn't mess with your own
Look.
with your opponent's plot deck.
Sure,
so-
but
Right.
it
Right.
cycled.
I mean,
Gave
look,
you a new one.
we had
Plot-
counterplot, which wasn't
plot manipulation
price
is
3.
a design space that no designer can
sure.
stay
The
away from.
prize
It's
should have been
like
flipped.
it's like crack cocaine for designers. Like it's just they're going. Damon did it, Nate did it, and Danny is doing it. Like it's gonna happen. We're gonna get plot manipulation. Alvaro did it. Like designer, like you can't keep the catnip away from the cat here.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, Reigns is super powerful, obviously, but it's a lot more elegant. You know what to expect, etc.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's the best plot manipulation they've ever printed. But,
right.
All right. Tyrell has a huge list. Hightower, Mace Tyrell.
Can we just take those two together first?
Yes.
They're degenerate as fuck together. They're
yes,
and then Shadows is coming. Go.
All right. Hightower, Mace Tyrell, Old Town, Knight of Flowers from the box, Lord Renly's Ride, Six Maids in the Pool, the Brienne from the box, Big Marge or Tinder Marge if you prefer, for Sandy there, Eleanor Tyrell, and All Men Are Fools. That's a huge list. The obvious people are Hightower and Mace, with of course Shadows, as Aaron mentioned, coming. Means that Hightower is going to go off like every phase. Like if there's a cheap Tyrell out of Shadows card, it's going to go off all the time. But
I mean, aside from the quote unquote fair card, this is just Sid's list, so it looks good to me.
Yeah, I mean most of it's anti-combo. The biggest one is Brienne.
It's Lady combo plus Mason.
Brienne's not on your list, right? Is it?
No, she's not.
Tinder Marge. Tinder Marge is the controversial one. I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just would like to break her up with Mace. Like if you want to play that kind of deck with Renly and stuff, and like that's still a fucking amazing deck. Just you don't get Mace.
Is it?
There's your Tyrell Wolf.
Yeah.
I mean Tyrell Wolf is.
I think that's still
always going to be a tier 2 deck. And it's fun.
No, I
can
think
win games, but it's
Tyrell Reigns without Hightower and Mace is still a really good deck.
No, I was talking about Tyrell Wolf.
Okay.
Not Tyrell Reigns. I'm sorry if I was unclear.
No.
Tyrell Wolf.
My fault. Tyrell Reigns and Tyrell Crossing are both still awesome with this restricted list, and I think still might be two of the best decks in the game. It's just they don't have cheap. They're not.
You could still definitely play Bitterbridge. Just with Hightower, and you just run more. You probably run Calling the Banners or some just like things that generate gold.
Calling wouldn't trigger your Bitterbridge, right?
You don't need to at a certain point.
Right. But like, fine, then you don't have Hightower,
you don't have
Tinder Marge, and now it's fair. Like the point isn't to kill it, right?
But you also don't have Lord Renly's Ride, which is 3x in.
Yeah, Ride to me is more controversial than Tinder.
No, Ride.
No Big Cersei Ride. Oh, that was my dream. I love that deck.
It's just Ride.
George combo.
The problem with Ride, and I don't even like. I think Ride is a really cool card. It's just that like so many combos are enabled by Ride, and like a part of them. I think my point one of this list, beyond shaking up the meta, is make sure combo stays dead. I don't want to have this like if this list is enacted. Now it's obviously not going to be, but like if this list were enacted, I don't want to be doing this conversation again 2 weeks later. So everything in this list is literally me going, not again, fuckers.
But couldn't you restrict Last of the Giants?
Why don't we put
instead?
Mag on the list? Then?
Yeah, put Mag or Last of the Giants.
Sure. Put Mag on. I don't care. Like, I'm just worried that there's some way to pull this off. Like, I'm genuinely worried.
Shouldn't we play test and figure out what's going to win before we just start adding random cards to the list?
So, no.
Yes.
No. Not with combo. The problem is, like, people will find the combo that works. Then, like, if that combo's taken away, like, it'll just look for more that works. And, like, how good are you at building combos, Sandy?
I mean,
not at all.
I'm not. But my point is, my point is that you can we can add whatever million parts to the restricted list, but until something is broken, why penalize it? Like
because I'm not saying because none of this is not broken, and we're not, and that was the exact logic of the current restricted list. Until it's broken, why restrict it? We're just going to get rid of the current combo, except it's only fine to use. Literally, functionally, everyone else, at least on this cast, says that this current combo is not fine. So, like, yes, it is fine to you. I agree that from your perspective, there's no need to make sure this stays dead.
Okay, so you're saying that you should preemptively cut an entire deck type and have as much collateral damage as possible.
But there's not a lot of collateral.
It might be. It is. There's a ton. We've just talked. We spent an hour talking about the collateral damage.
All right, so Sandy actually has a very strong point here because there comes a point where I think some preemptive restrictions are necessary, but there comes a point where you need to do what Nate did in first edition, which is a combo deck gets to win its major tournament. Right, this is the brand combo that was running around right when they did the emergency restricted list. I remember
it didn't get to win.
Didn't it win in France?
Oh, right. That was literally the same week. Like we played it and it was banned that week. Like it didn't get to win as soon as
it was banned after.
But literally he found out about it. It was restricted. Period. There was no it was let to win.
The point was it wasn't preemptive before the cards were released.
Right. Like I think some safety valving is, but like going full declare war on any possible combo ever. Like
what stuff here do you see as preemptive?
It's I think the Lord. I agree with the Lord Renly's Ride.
That's preemptive. I think. Yeah,
I think
it's been used for combos. It's not.
I know,
preemptive.
but you've got the two combo engines.
So has Highgarden's Bounty. Is that on here?
Yep. Oh no, Bounty is.
No.
Bounty just doesn't work.
Well, it's neither does
Eleanor and Metal don't need to put.
Yeah, Eleanor and All Men, which is literally every way that could work. Meanwhile, Lord Renly's Ride could work with technically anything.
Sure, it could work with Greg.
No, it also
it could work with Gregor. It could work with the stupid Stark dude.
I'm just saying, Lord Renly's Ride is feasible in it's used in non-combo decks. Like you have to do the conditional probability that it's used exclusively in combo before you restrict it, I think. And I don't think you've done that analysis. I think you just
in general, I agree about this card specifically. Yeah, that's true. Ride specifically.
So I've been like, you shouldn't restrict the white paper because some guy plays it. But here we have Tyrell Reigns and a lot of other Tyrell stuff. They play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of these cards in their deck right now.
I also think Tyrell Reigns is probably the best deck after this restriction.
Sure.
List.
No. Right now. Okay, fine.
No, if you make this restricted list, I think Tyrell Reigns is still the best.
Ugh.
You can still find a way to play Tyrell Reigns.
Sure, you can find a way, but I mean, this hits so hard.
Much important. I don't think it
I don't know what major.
I think that the most arguable one here is Marjorie. Marjorie is not really a broken card. Like Marjorie is not what's powering.
Ride.
What?
There's Ride.
I agree with Ride, but I think she's more controversial than Ride because I think she's a huge hit to Tyrell.
Let Roy finish.
What, the big Marjorie? Not in combo decks.
No, you use small Marge.
They use small Marge because she's cheap. But the Mace decks, I played so much Bitter Bridge. I really love the deck. Marge is not the engine. If you are using Marge as the engine to power Mace, you're winning that game. That's like a win more card of that. Use Marjorie to get you to the point in which you get to Mace, right? And that's what's really interesting. When you figure that out about Bitter Bridge, that's a really interesting style of play, right? And the same with Reigns, she's a key card in Reigns. She's a big intrigue icon, and Reigns needs her. And particularly if you're going to restrict other ways for Tyrell Reigns to win convincing intrigue challenges, like Lord Renly's Ride, taking Marge away is also unfair. Particularly when you're taking Mace. Particularly when you're taking
Can I list the ways that Tyrell has to do that? Get that same strength pump? Because there's 9.
No, we're not gonna.
No, it's not oh man, Tyrell doesn't have the strength pumps.
No, I'm just saying that.
How do they win by 5?
Marjorie is a super underwhelming card. She's an awesome card, but she is consistently overrated in the sense that everyone is always saying. I include myself in this. I've always, when I first read her, when I first saw her, when I first played initial games with her, I thought she was broken. But then over time, and I played a lot with Marjorie over the last 4 months, she is a good card, sometimes a great card, but she is not a busted card. And she is not a card that warping or distorting the meta, or a card that the restricted list needs to make you make a choice. The fact that there are 3 fantastic Marjories, or at least 2 fantastic Marjories and an okay Marjorie, means that there's legitimately choices. When you're building non-combo Tyrell decks, what?
Which one's just okay?
The 4-drop.
I like her better than 3, but that's just me.
Me too.
But
So
3's the
also,
pump.
like, okay, but hang on. Tinder Marge is here specifically because with Mace and Hightower, she's silly. It becomes a catch-22 for just too many decks. It's the kind of thing that keeps Stark and Barra out of the meta.
But you think if you had a deck that was Hightower and Tinder Marge, or Hightower and Tinder Marge and Mace,
It's specifically
that would
Mace.
still be
It's
oppressive?
specifically Mace more than Hightower, but yes.
It's
So-
it's the 3 of them together. That's
Yeah,
where I
don't.
agree with
I
you.
agree.
It's the
I
three
think
together.
it's I think it's Mace more than Hightower. It's just that extra bit of.
I thought the goal was to. This goal? What is the goal here of the restricted list?
We went over that
I
for
thought
like
it was-
10 minutes at the start while you
No,
were
no.
playing a game, Sandy. We're not doing this again.
Meta, pull
Late at
apart,
night.
restructure meta.
Yeah. So what
Blow it up.
are you saying that Tyrell should just move to non-lords? Is that like what the goal
No.
is? Because
No, the goal is that
No.
like Terrell is already the most powerful. They have basically all the draw, all the gold. And if everything else is being pushed down and you leave Terrell mostly
they're
alone
gonna
and
be
just take
worse,
out
yeah.
Mace, then they're
I-
just gonna fucking dominate everything.
I don't think. Okay.
So
I
here's a
agree
question:
with
Why
the
didn't
majority of
Bart?
these lists.
Yeah,
Why
I
did who?
suggested Barge, and I just got
Barge, yeah.
behind the scenes.
Sure, Barge would be fine. But then we're restructuring a lot, right? Like, because everything is in
Yeah.
combo. Pleasure Barge could be there, absolutely.
I think that Lord
Pleasure
Renly's Ride is a much harder conversation. Like, it's much more like. There's no reason to put that in, but there's a lot of reasons to put cards that like Pleasure Barge in. Yeah, I just because a card exists in a combo deck doesn't make it preemptively bad, especially when there's a lot of legitimate.
No, again, no one's preemptively. It was the key piece in 2 or 3 different combo decks,
So
which
go
I
back-
think is not preemptive at all. But okay.
go back to the point about Pleasure Barge, though. If you put Pleasure Barge,
And Hightower
and
Old Town.
Hightower, and Old Town, those are the 3 core draw engines of Tyrell at the moment. To a lesser extent, Renly,
And
but
6
Renly's
maids.
and 6 maids, right? But that's combo. Like
Right.
I'm just not thinking about combo.
So yeah, I don't
I'm
want to
thinking
put
about the
every
honest
single
Tyrell
Terrell
decks.
draw.
Is if you restrict all 3 of those, makes a Tyrell deck do the Aaron Glazer thing, which is make a choice. It's like, which of these draw engines do I want to abuse, right?
Everything else is
In a slower mid-range deck that's not about gaining power, that's going to be Hightower. For Rush, that's going to be Pleasure Barge. But I guess you're kind of soft banning Old Town at that point, which is fine. Old Town is kind of an obnoxiously overpowered card, but maybe a Conclave deck that really just abuses Old Town. I don't know, but yeah. So I think that's probably the direction to go over targeting Marjorie and targeting Lord Renly's Ride, because I personally have found Buzz's and Sandy's arguments much more convincing about Lord Renly's Ride than any of the other combo adjacent cards that we've seen here.
I
agree.
Just all right. But should this happen again, it won't. Like, I'm 80% sure I can have John build us a combo deck built around Lord Renly's Ride tomorrow that still works the exact same way,
So-
and then you're just sad and back here.
I would take that challenge. I don't with this restricted list minus Lord Renly's Ride. I don't think there's a combo deck.
Okay. I mean,
Out of Tyrell.
The thing is, you would Terrell Banner,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't think it would be main house Terrell. I think you would Terrell
Right,
Banner,
yeah,
and then
it'd
I
be
think
Banner.
it still exists. And I think that since you're bannering,
So I would
Lord
like-
Renly's
I think-
Ride still-
I think the burden of proof lies on you to show that there is a deck that
We-
if
we
Lord
did-
Renly's Ride was not on this list.
We did this again literally a month ago, where we all sat here and I went, I don't know if combo's gone, and Roy went, I don't know if combo's gone, because John had already started this shit, and you and Sid yelled at us that combo was dead. So,
No, I said it's not dead. That was not my position
Wasn't
at
it? It was
all.
someone else.
So
It was someone
right,
else.
and because
Like-
that happened in the past, this is definitely happening again. This is also what 5x the number of 10x the number of cards on the current list.
Glazer is actually being very unfair to this cast. We were actually all relatively skeptical of the initial.
Yeah. I said
Uh,
meddling is going to be the new combo engine fuel, and it was.
But
So-
just because,
was
so you're
obvious.
saying that in the past, because a restricted list with what, like 7 cards, 6 cards, didn't stop combo, you think that this one card, adding just this one Lord Renly's
No.
Ride, is going to stop combo.
I think adding everything and being sure is a better decision than taking that extra chance and ending up in the exact same position.
I strongly disagree.
Disagree.
I think that if you're like, why not?
We have not even gotten to Night's Watch, so
Right.
I am gonna
one small, not going. It's on a different topic. Almost. Night of Flowers. He does not have a what's it called limit. That sucks. Okay, maybe it should be on the list, but I would have liked to see on the same trail that I've been on, see To the Rose banner.
Like the card that breaks the card rather than the card that you're breaking.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
My
It's
concern
kind of the same
is-
argument as Chain, though. Like, it's the card still doesn't have a limit that it should have on it. Like,
Right, but also my concern is the thing that grabs ladies' power, right? Like, is there a reason? Is that on the list already?
Yes, that's
all men are fools.
Okay, then we're okay. Then sure, I don't care. I'm fine with it. Basically, like I kind of want to just separate that. I wanted to separate that from Night of Flowers because you get gold other ways, and then you just like can still just get 1,000,000 power with Night of Flowers that way. I don't really like that. You just get him to 1,000,000 strength, and you're like, all right, 2 challenges, I win. He's not loyal. Like he works with all the fucking Martel, the stupid
right
to the spears.
I just wanted to if gold is the reason, maybe To the Rose banner should be there instead.
It's not the. It's a major reason, but it's not the only reason that he's non-loyal and that he opens up potential for silliness in multiple places.
Yep.
All right. So
I think it'd just be great if no one ever played him because we all have 1,000,000 alt arts of him too.
That'd
be awesome. I think that's a great idea.
Night's Watch is
I don't like
Haunted Forest. The Night's Watch is the Haunted Forest, Brandon's Gift, Shower Tower Mason, Messenger Raven, and the Crow is a Tracy Sam Bratz.
Or Sam.
Sam's card's gotta go. That card's fucking
restricted.
Restricted, like
restricted. Yeah.
No, it and someone else are both pre-restricted. Leave plots alone, assholes.
Yeah.
I don't think this is surgery.
So the only card I disagree with here is Messenger Raven. Actually, I think the others are pretty solid.
That's a classic Aaron Glazer.
It's a good card, but I think without it,
he has been on restrict. I mean, he does
okay,
now.
So
like,
without it, what are you taking instead of that in the deck, Sandy?
What?
What?
You're taking Eastwatch, which is
no. I'm saying what restricted card is he picking if saying Night's Watch is without Raven? Picking another card at that point.
Right. Something that's not Night's Watch.
Probably Shadow Tower or Flea Bottom.
Flea Bottom, yeah.
I don't like that combination at all. I want Flea Bottom
so
totally separate.
The Night's Watch deck
that should not be an option.
But not Raven.
I'm bad at Night's Watch, so.
I mean, there's definitely. I mean, like builders. You know, like the Ravens were kind of.
Not really.
There was only 2 in that.
They were
list,
there.
Right?
They were right. There's only 2.
They were an important part.
They weren't important. They were sort of like you just wanted consistency draw, but like Eastwatch. And if you put 3 Eastwatch and Night's Watch deck, that's defense based. That is usually enough draw if you're running.
They also have 3 tons of insight. They have Ari. They're not hurting for draw.
Wait, where's the insight from Night's Watch?
Bowen March.
Sam, Bowen March, and Pip. Not Pip. It's Pip. Which one is it?
It's Pip. It's Pip because Gren's the power.
Yeah.
Gren's power.
Sam, Bowen March.
But Pip,
and then there's the Watch has need, which is functionally a draw card, and then there's just enough ways to get shit in Night's Watch.
Yeah, Night's Watch has enough draw. Like
that they don't need
Messenger.
And I think Messenger Raven is, and besides counting, the best in-house draw card in the game.
You can feel my hand in this list because it's much softer on Night's Watch than other people would be.
Yeah.
But I think it does the job.
So I have a concern, and it is the same as for the Drown God stuff. So we have a theme, builders and Drown Gods, and you're splitting right into the theme with Brandon's Gift and Shadow Tower Mason. For me, I'd like to, if people want to play builders, okay, play builders, here are your cards. Restrict other pieces that makes them degenerate or broken or whatever. Because
I don't know what they are.
Sure, but
what's your counter suggestion?
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but the thing I don't think You should
Craven?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. I think I
How
wrote
about
it somewhere.
Craven? Like, come on.
Yes,
deck just
Craven.
doesn't work without Craven.
Yeah.
So I think.
Okay, don't let it work. It's fine.
The deck not exist.
Sure, but I mean, breaking up Brandon.
Doesn't Breaking Ties already do that?
So
Sure, and Breaking Ties
I think
was on the list until last
I
minute.
think we, and especially Danny, actually, should be super careful about hammering down preciously rates, right? If should try and not cut so deep into. If you want to play Brandon's Gift and Shouter Mason,
I think that's where you're wrong. I think builders still completely work.
I somewhat agree. It becomes so we debated this a lot. This was Aaron and I yelled at each other a lot about this. So what we came down, and Aaron wanted way more on the list, and wanted it much more hard hit. And the point was, it's the free intrigue icon, and to a lesser extent the free military icon. The two, like the Tricon nature. It's an unfair builder's card.
No
right?
other.
It's a 2-drop that's really easy to turn on that has 3 icons.
I thought that was the guy that searched stuff, but okay.
No. Without that of being able to find 3 icons easily, builders has to work a lot harder to defend all 3 challenges if an opponent is able to throw them on you, right? You've got to protect your big daddy builder, Othel, right? You've got to see Gren, got to see your practice blade. Like, it just means you have to see more elements of what makes the builder synergy work versus like, that there's drops that you're going to give you 3 icons and you got Castle Black Mason to Castle Black to stand it, so that's challenges. It means that they now have to hit your 2-drop with their stealth, which means a whole bunch of other stuff is going to be able to, to do it. So
if you're so sold on that, because I'm not, I would like to add Craven, period.
No.
Because that's a completely different thing. Haunted Forests and Craven are by nature degenerate cards. They are negative player experiences. They're super powerful. If you want to play them, good. That's your restricted card.
I just think that there's enough answers for Craven now.
I feel like that. You're wrong.
No.
Craven is so stupid. I've played so much against Craven. We have a player here in Europe.
Y'all have. Have you not?
I think.
I would rather sit down.
What's your problem with what's the plot? Beyond Reproach? Like, I mean, that play hasn't seen enough play. Like,
Breaking Ties, which one is that? Happen to stick it on.
I don't know where your PTSD comes from, because I haven't had
Thomas.
I don't
love it,
card, but I think it's got enough answers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Targ's not everywhere, and they don't have easy answers
it's just of. Okay, so my philosophy.
Then are you restricting the Martell Craven? The 2-cost new Craven?
Cost, right?
2.
Is it only 2? But then it gives renown.
Yeah, pretty good. It's really good. It beat me the other
I don't
day.
know that card. Anyway, so I think
let's go find it.
So I think that the wall should take work. It should require defending challenges and managing ranking spread, especially in the deck building phase. So, Raven and Haunted Forest are cheap outs of locking down the game. It's definitely it. Raven makes the wall too easy to play and boring to play.
I don't think it does anymore.
When I saw the wall, and I've said this a lot, I said, "Oh, okay, this is pretty interesting."
Secret Pack unique?
But
yeah, it's unique.
But now it's like I sit down. I don't make challenges. I don't have to defend challenges. Let's wait.
With Craven, you do like unless they only have one dude challenges.
But that's a philosophy. Not only do I not have to attack, I have to defend less. And sometimes you have such a good lockdown with, for example, Haunted Forest and Craven, that you do not have to attack. So I really want. I don't care much for. Okay, I care a lot about Trixie Bird. I don't care much about Brandon's Gift or Shadow Tower Mason, but Haunted Forest and Craven should be split up. Because they are 2 of the same card, and you can play 6
builders. you hate playing build. Well, you're
Oh,
never.
actually, I've played against
ever
builders
really choosing.
once in my life, and I beat it. But
So,
that's not
I
the
don't-
point.
So, yeah, I think it is because I don't think this deck ever chooses Haunted Forest. Like, I don't think Haunted Forest is the restricted card. I think.
And if you're putting
Haunted Forest
Craven on
is-
there, do you also have to put Mole's Town on there? Like same card,
Well,
even more
do
than
you-
Haunted Forest. Is
Then
the
you
same
have to
card.
put.
But Mole's Town
Secret
is
Facts on there.
expensive.
Yeah.
So I think what
And
missing here, though,
most town isn't recurable like
Yeah.
how
for
easily
builds
Craven is.
or-
Much
Builders.
easier to.
Builders is never taking or almost never taking Haunted Forest over Gift.
Yeah.
And it's certainly, if it is, taking Shadow Tower Mason over Forest.
So
Like, I think you're concerned about a thing that wouldn't exist on the list.
the thing
But
that
you're talking
Buzz,
builders.
I mean,
I'm talking the wall. I don't care about
Right.
builders or this or that. The
So
wall
whatever
with
the
Haunted
wall
Forest and
also wants
Craven
Shadow
is
Tower Mason, though.
stupid busted.
So
Yeah.
like, the thing
Yeah,
that
it
you're
needs to
pulling
strike out.
by pulling
better
Haunted
card.
Forest out of the deck, right? You take 2 intrigue icons out of that deck, right? And Night's Watch has gotten more intrigue icons, but it's still the easiest challenge for most houses to be able to get unopposed, particularly if they can do it early. And pulling those 2 intrigue icons that are also flexibly, like a Haunted Forest is basically a Tricon, right? The 2-drop Tricon, right? That defends a challenge, right?
That
And-
has to defend the first challenge.
It has to defend the first challenge, but it's still good, right?
Yeah, it's
And
great.
by pulling that out, by
I'm so much less concerned about the power level of builders or whatever or the
So
wall.
we're not-
I am concerned
I
about
said I'm concerned about the wall.
yes, I'm concerned about the wall and how it plays and why.
I think you should play some wall decks because I feel like your misconception is based on what's annoying you, not what they're trying to do. And like the
I've
list
I've talked.
upsets.
I mean, Tamas.
I'm
I've
not-
talked so much with
So-
Tamas. It's
I do.
I don't have to
I think
play.
let Sandy talk.
given the current meta, talking about wall decks, creative wall decks, like talking about, like I haven't seen.
Sure,
I literally have not seen a wall deck.
but
I
I,
had to
but
play
as
two
I've
at
said,
Bravos,
as
man.
I've said,
Had a
and
lot.
you keep ignoring, I don't care about the power level. I don't care if they win tournaments. I care about the interaction of the game state that develops if you have Haunted Forest and Craven. It's
So
NPE.
why are you not afraid
It's the
of-
same as
why are you-
combo.
Why are you not afraid of the similar argument with Era? Like if you can kneel out the board and not do anything, and there's no interaction. it's an
Because
NPE.
Tomas doesn't play Barra, and that's not who he has
He
PTSD of.
plays Barra. He plays Night Source Barra.
It's not a powerful deck, but it's super obnoxious to play against.
Yeah.
Or the Stark No Fun.
There are
like
more natural answers, and it doesn't lock down the board in the same way.
well,
I'm not-
Doesn't at all.
I don't
doesn't
think those
lock down
two cards
board
lock
very
down the board. Yeah.
at all.
I don't-
This is audio listeners cannot see me making this circular motion, but we are definitely trapped in a circular point. I think everyone has made their Buzz continues to think the wall is a terrible place. Aaron is only ever reasonable about wall decks because been forced to play them by me. Sandy is Sandy's typical self,
I
which
hate
is
them, but I don't think
designed-
they should die.
design.
So beyond Sandy, we agree with the basic concept. Give or take a few cards, yes.
the Craven
I
needs to
agree
go
with
on
the
according to
basic
Buzz.
concept. It's fine.
But the Craven needs to go on. The Lord Brandley's ride may need to go off. Do we keep Viper or do we keep? So it's some work around the edges here and there, but ultimately we agree with the concept. Cool.
Yep. So what we just did, for those of you who stuck with us to this 2.5 hour, I'm still not sure how I'm going to convert it down for the YouTube for the audio people. That was a discussion sort of in general about the restricted list and what we'd like to see on it. I want to thank my co-hosts for joining me tonight. Our next episode is going to be not Wednesday, May 15th. So, which will be after the end of the current cycle of the 4th cycle. So we'll be talking about the cycle in retrospective. I had a really good idea for that, which my co-hosts told me to bump. So we will be talking
Aren't
about.
you happy we did?
Oh well,
Well, let's
sort of.
get to
I
it.
would have been able to
45 more
shrink
minutes.
this
We got
discussion.
this.
Maybe we could have shrunk this discussion down a little bit, but it'll be exciting. We'll be talking about where the meta is at the end of the Martell box and 4th cycle world. So please tune in then. But if you are staying up, my friends here on the East Coast, or if you're like the Californians, I believe, Sandy, what are you about to jump into? Aren't you about to play
I have my online California. They got Iron Throne. Is that what it's called? Some online league.
California Online Enthusiast.
That Buzz.
That David Moran is doing yeoman's work in hosting. This is his third one or so where he's put it together. It's like a mini version of the big online league, mostly for Cali people or Cali adjacent. So, Good luck, Buzz. Good luck, Sandy.
Good luck, Sandy.
John Future. I want to give him luck instead.
Good luck, Future.
Hey,
right,
what
Sandy's
was
gonna learn.
That thing Sandy said earlier?
Sandy's gonna
Why
lose.
did I lose? Because I'm dumb.
I lost this game because I'm dumb.
Sandy's gonna lose round 2 now with that arrogance thing you got there.
I had 14 power for like 3 plots, and it was because on the turn that I had 14 power, I didn't make one more unopposed challenge because I hit done because I was arguing with you guys.
So still,
I want the shirt though to take to Worlds. The only reason I lost this game is because I'm dumb. That's the only reason.
Do you remember the world where you were sitting there with the dominant board position? The opponent was at power. And they challenged you and had a renown guy, and you were just like unopposed. I
have to get up in about 6 hours, so I'm going to tell Buzz that he needs to cut the stream at this point. If you are watching us live on Twitch, watch Sandy right after this. If you're listening to us on audio, we are going to be on the 15th. So see you the 15th.
Hi, everybody.